5. I'm gonna have to make this quick because so I'm not gonna have enough space, unfortunately. Just because I noticed I have like 45 minutes to 2 hours on these videos. Actually, it's just like 45 minutes. So for this week, I'm getting the same, what do you call it? Vehicular mobbing. So I'll just hang on, my coffee's on. I should always make that first. So this is May 10th. I have the beginning of the week and then I have the end of the week. But I didn't really notice anything Monday, but actually, no, I do have something from then. I'm not sure if I saved it. So here's 9. Looks like I have the 9th and the, 9th was Friday. So let's see here. Is this on my way to work? That's on my way to work. So this is morning time. I'm going to work. So this is the beginning of the shift. And you can see a bunch of trash on the road. Probably nothing. That you could see that thing pulled over on the right. But what I show the debris just because I've had other situations where there was trash on my route because they noticed that they know how to ruin your vehicle. They just want to inconvenience you. And so I may have gotten lucky and whatever blew this guy's tire up was supposed to blow mine up, that type of thing. Or it could just be a distraction because they do actually spend the time and work with Nazi trash to sabotage your vehicle and stage collisions. But this isn't what I want to show. This is, and I'm gonna open up the other targets FBI floating box technique again, but I just want to show. Okay, so this may be just a big debris distraction, and it sounds crazy, but I'm telling you, people will go out of their way to make a target's life miserable. But this could be nothing. The thing that I am pretty certain of being related to the vehicular mobbing is what happens after I pass around the trash. So here's the trash, and then you're going to notice, just like in the other ones, they have the same color-coded vehicles. Vehicle 1, not that one. Could be, probably isn't. 1, and then so you got red, white, red. All perfectly in line, and they're going to follow me all the way to where I turn to go to work. And of course, this road right here is where at the end of the shift, because this is the beginning of the entrance into Apache Junction, they know to avoid the freeway now unless they're DPS. Let's keep going. So they'll follow me all the way in there. And you'll see this is actually part of the technique. They always have one driver, and I have it all listed right here in my, let me go in there. And she's going to describe it anyways, but I'll have it loading up in here. The vehicular mobbing. So there's layup vehicles. There's, where is it? I got to go get the coffee. Let's keep going. There's an MZ catcher. Let me at least just take that off. So there's here we go. So like it looks exactly like my fucking diagram, and that's what's so funny to me. Like, they watch me upload these things. So you have the advance, me, so there's a person in front, there's me, the target, and then you have a command, an outrider, a backup, and another outrider on an adjacent street. Okay? And then you have a distractor vehicle, which is what that 18-wheeler could have been. They do work with local companies and people. You have to understand, we're living in a fascist situation where You see, I remember all these old videos in like early, like maybe mid 2000s, where everybody would get the text and they'd be in the grocery store and they start shopping or they start singing in the middle of the grocery store. It's the same thing except evil. Like it's meant to be plausibly deniable, spontaneous, and meant to reinforce that panopticon feeling in the target. But it's been so many years of this bullshit that it's just, they get diminished returns on their torture. But they still try to do it anyways, because now I'm in a new city, I'm in a new job. And so I think that they're used to the target being brand new and scared and frazzled, and so they're really confused with me. And the important part of unleashing somebody like me into a perps world, is that I can rub their shit in their face now, because I could point out using historical context how disgusting and disturbing their behavior is and how it mirrors the Stasi and the Bolsheviks. Just all the worst. These people are all of the worst parts of authoritarian, totalitarian governments, technologically distilled down into this very evil surveillance network that rides just on the cusp of being seen. So they fly just under social justice radar, but they put so much time and energy into making the target's life difficult that they really are in a lot of ways more evil than the Stasi, than the Gestapo, because even though you look at me and you can't see what's going on, there is a battle going on in my body with all the free radicals from the radiation that I get hit with constantly for this to work. There is cumulative damage from the effects of the radiation, and I fight that shit. I watch what I eat. I've been trying to work out consistently, like every other day. But the reality is that this is a slow kill program, and I'm sure my health has taken a hit. I have thyroid nodules. My private life is gone, and I'm going to get to that too on this video. So it is an evil. They've killed more than 6 million people with this, according to one of the creators of their technology, or somebody who contributed towards the creation of a lot of the technologies being used. The voice of God weapon, I don't know about directed energy, but Robert Duncan does bring up at least V2K, and also the neural monitoring technology being used. So you got me, the advanced, the command, the backup, the outrider, and the cheater vehicle. The cheater vehicle is if you make a turn, they'll have another one keep going forward in case you do make a second turn, and then that way there's always somebody waiting. Where's the other one here? I had an overhead one. It's not in. I guess it's not included in here. Have it somewhere in my collection. But anyways, what do I want to get at first? So I turn, and then one keeps following me. So you're going to see that red one is going to follow me all the way. And I purposely slowed down because I wanted to try to get their plates like I did to the one the other day. And that's what I have in my... I don't think I uploaded one, but there is one where I purposely pull over just to get... Okay, and then here you have this. So watch very carefully the damage on the vehicle. So they're drawing attention to this part of the headlight here. And you think about if anyone's ever gone and purchased used police vehicles when they sell them off. That's what a lot of... They have makes and models of all kinds, but if it's a domestic vehicle, very likely it's part of this program. So let's keep going here. And this is the end of my route. But you can see there the damage on the front right side, almost like it's like just kind of like related to all the... It's usually a headlight that's out. So in this image that I made here, I purposely left the headlight out because they do that to you when you're driving at night. They have people with either a switch or they do something to the bulb before they get on the road that takes their they're light out, and you're going to hear the vehicular mobbing target explain that in the video too. So this is the last turn, and then at this point, I'm there. I'm already, it's the end of my route. So now let me show when I leave. Where's the video of me leaving? Oh, okay, here we go. So here I'm leaving at the end of the day. And I want to point out the similarities here. This could be nothing. First of all, again, that red, probability wise, you're going to see a lot of red and white vehicles, but right here on the right, this is one of two things. It's either what I want it to be, which is just people waiting for their kids to get off a bus or something. But the fact that they're using it, that it's a red and white vehicle placed on a part of my route. So I really need to switch things up every other day, which is stupid. I use a lot less gas now that I'm not working in the middle of the industrial part of Phoenix. But still, it's just an inconvenience. It's stupid. But so here you have this, and I want to show the similarities between this and this part of the diagram right here. So you have people who will park on the side of the road and go through their trunk or open their hood. People, I wouldn't mind getting more of this. You don't ever get. They put honeypots. Like there's Stasi. The United States is sick with the amount of CIs and CBAs that are. You think about how it works. They've gutted the economy and it's getting worse now. And then you have a bunch of people who are enticed by the idea of making quick and easy money and helping to fight terrorism. Well, I'm not a fucking terrorist. There are so many people on these watch lists. I'm just there to, as fodder, to bloat already bloated watch lists, to make money. That's all I am. This is no different than the prison industrial complex. This is no different than the quotas that police who have to use civil forfeiture and sell your data to make money are. This is no different. This is just a digital version of that. This is a radioactive panopticon prison. That's what this is. And these are all the pieces of trash who make up the guards. They're cheap. It's cheap. So if it's true, but I don't know. Actually, there's something I saw yesterday. And if I don't get too distracted, I'll point that video out. They were showing, well, let me just look. I don't give a shit. Like, if this goes out. Stupid fucking dog. My internet is out. I'll just explain it while the internet turns on. It was a gulag. It was like a concentration camp. And they were talking about how to these authoritarian governments, control was more important than cost. So the appearance of control was more important than cost. And what did that mean? Well, it cost more to run these concentration camps than it was to hold it wasn't worth holding the prisoners. But the fact that they were dying off and that it sent fear into the community was trumped costs. So that's what you sort of have here. It's supposedly $3 million per target spread across an average of about 200 people in a given area and made up of GS-12. So that's between 60 to 80,000 a year. And then about 15,000 extra per CBA a year or more. So these are all, and you have a lot of people who have like these Uber jobs and these delivery jobs. It's the same shit, except these people who are involved in these programs delude themselves into thinking that they're James Bond and that's why whenever I see advertisements for movies like The Accountant and Jason Bourne, it's just them trying to glorify a Stasi police state. Like, you're not fucking James Bond. You're not James Jason Bourne, you're just a fucking moron being taken advantage of in a gutted economy where they know that people are desperate and are willing to do anything. That's what I see now whenever I watch these videos of all these ICE agents and then just going out and looking for a job in the last few months and seeing how prevalent, you see all these jobs listed at the very top with a little advertisement on the side. You get a border patrol, 45,000 to whatever a year with $5,000 add-on bonus. And it, even no matter how many times I would deny that one and say don't show, every day that I would come back to the job search, it would pop up right there. It's fucking sick. So, but let me go in there now that this is running again. It was a good video. It was pretty disturbing, actually, to see how we never learn. Like, we repeat history, and that's the thing about this program too. It is where is that shit? Must have left this running at night. Oh, I was so tired yesterday. I got home from the gym, and that's a problem for them too. I do have video now of CBAs that get sent into the gym, and so the difference between the gym where I was and this is where the extra $40 a month might have been handy, is that you can be more certain that the people that they send in the more expensive gym were definitely CBAs because of the weird random hours. I would go super late at night. So it would force them to send somebody in there who makes fake conversation and then tries to get in close enough proximity that they could hold their phone up at a 90-degree angle. And God, where the hell did it go? This is already wrong. It's not even in here. That is really weird. Here we go.
Monday CRM has the best AI features in the game.
Especially in sales.
Hands down.
So for me...
It looks like they changed the picture.
Excrement would pile up in corners of the barracks, only to create a horrific thaw when spring arrived.
It's pretty disturbing.
Prisoners often had no opportunity to wash for weeks or months. In the Kargopolag complex, there was one bar...
I think it was about right here.
Jolting prisoners from their brief respite of sleep. Get up for work, shouted the guards, as recalled by Varlam Shalamov in his Kolyma Tales. In the notorious Serpantinka camp in the Kolyma region, prisoners were sometimes awakened by guards throwing buckets of water on them, leaving them to work in freezing clothes throughout the day. This moment marked the beginning of another day of struggle in the vast network of Soviet labor camps where millions would live and die during Stalin's reign. As prisoner Jacques Rossi later wrote in his encyclopedic The Gulag Handbook, the day began not with sunrise, but with the rising of anger. The morning routine began with a head count, prisoners standing at attention regardless of weather conditions, which in places like Vorkuta or Norilsk could reach minus 50 degrees Celsius. At Norilsk, the northernmost camp in the system, polar nights meant these counts took place in complete darkness for weeks during winter. Evgenia Ginsberg, who survived 18 years in the Gulag system, described in Journey into the Whirlwind how prisoners would be forced to stand motionless in blizzards until every person was accounted for. If one prisoner was missing or miscounted, we might stand for hours while fingers and toes turned white with frostbite, she wrote. In the Burapolom camp near Gorky, prisoner Nina Gagan-Torn recalled watching as an elderly professor collapsed during one such count and was left to freeze while the tally continued. This bureaucratic ritual often became a form of collective punishment, with entire groups suffering for administrative errors. Breakfast, if it could be called that, consisted typically of watery gruel and a small ration of bread. Approximately
There's not going to be any more. They're going to do food shortages again here pretty soon.
300 grams.
May or may not get this bad. Who knows anymore? Things are so up in the air with how psychotic all the tyrants at the top have gotten.
Eating work quotas, less for those who failed. At Vyatlag, in the Kirov region, survivor Lev Kopelev described how the soup was so thin that prisoners called it dishwater with a memory of cabbage. The bread itself became a form of currency in camp life, with inmates carefully guarding their portions or trading them for protection or favors. Many developed rituals around their bread ration, as Polish prisoner Andrzej Vot described. We would slice it with thread into the thinnest possible pieces to make it last longer, creating the illusion of eating more. Olga Adamova-Sliosberg recalled how prisoners would run their fingers along the bottom of soup bowls, desperate to capture every possible calorie. The official Soviet provision standards were rarely met, and camp administrators regularly skimmed food supplies to sell on the black market or to reward informants and favorites.
Yeah, there's a lot of informant trash. And see, that's part of, I didn't remember that part. They're getting to what I want. But when you're in a situation where, the economy goes to shit, you have the bystander effect. And then you have, with this technology, it glamours people. So they're like, oh, look, it's so advanced, and you could read their mind, and you could see everywhere they go on a map and blah, blah, blah. They're glamored by what you can do. And they're also frightened by it at the same time. And they're like, well, I don't want to be on the receiving end of that, even though I'm sure that if you participate in these programs, you're selling yourself to the devil, because even though I take copious amounts of radiation that are used to punish me based on what I'm doing in the house, not anything to do with criminality, just if whatever I'm doing doesn't align with their agenda, and that could be going to the gym, like literally. He went to the gym for 2 hours. Now we have to dose him with radiation for 4 hours. So I'll get hit. Like, this is literally, I'm describing my living situation. If he watches the wrong news story that doesn't align with our authoritarian control message, we're gonna have to hit him, and I'll demonstrate that. Like, I have that on video. I've shown similar videos like that. I have a collection of them. They're not all on my notes, but for these public ones, I could show how, I'm watching a bunch of ICE agents arrest a family, and it gets crazy. And then at the same time, immediately, they don't like what I'm saying, because I'm not thinking happy thoughts while I'm watching these fucking pigs. And so they start to shoot me with radiation. So it's all about control of people through destroying the economy and fear, and it's just disgusting. So I'll let it has $3 million per target. Sounds like a lot. That's more than a regular prison. But this is how important this is to these people. $3 million spread across about 200 people per area for per target. And then I'm going to ask ChatGPT really quick. The average cost of an inmate in a conventional prison. Where is it? OpenAI. Where is my ChatGPT? Why am I signed out? I shouldn't even be signed out. Just fucking go to my one. Why am I yelling? What? Oh my god, just fucking go to my regular one. Here we go. What is the average cost per prisoner? So I get the number 3. So it's still cheaper to put them in, but this 133,000 a year. But you have to understand, and I'm getting to my point here. Whatever they're doing to me, think about it. It's a digital system. It is the people that are involved are being the chatbot, for instance, that gets used to talk shit to me 24 hours a day to keep that panopticon feel throughout the day. That's not a human, that's a person. The cameras that are connected to the fusion centers that run thousands of hours of footage for license plate readers, that could be automated. Those people are gone too. So while $3 million per target for a small demographic of marginalized groups is nothing compared to the proposed profit that you get from imprisoning a larger portion of the population with the systems that get augmented with AI that replace all the human counterparts that used to do the same job to surveil the target. And so that's why, even though $3 million per target seems like a lot, it will eventually, it's an investment. So I'll let him keep going.
Solovki, the first large-scale camp established in a former monastery, the administration's dining hall served meat and fresh vegetables, while prisoners subsisted on rotten fish and moldy bread. By 6 a.m., work brigades would be marched to their assignments, often traveling kilometers through snow or mud to reach remote work sites. At the Vorkuta coal mines, prisoners trudged 5 kilometers each way through Arctic winds so severe that special ropes were strung between buildings to prevent workers from being blown away and lost in snowdrifts. The labor was deliberately exhausting and frequently deadly. In the infamous Kolyma gold mines, prisoners hacked at permanently frozen ground with primitive tools, meeting impossible quotas or facing reduced rations. The geologist and prisoner Mikhail Rozanov noted that the techniques used would have been considered criminally inefficient in any normal mining operation, but efficiency wasn't the point, exhaustion was. Alexander Dolgun, an American citizen imprisoned in the Gulag, described in his memoir how workers would sabotage each other's tools to ensure their own quota completion, as solidarity quickly dissolved under starvation conditions. At the Ukhta oil fields, prisoner Joseph Scholmer observed how those too weak to fulfill quotas would be assigned to the Weak Brigade, OKP, Odel Kulturnoi Pomoshchi, a cruel euphemism meaning Cultural Assistance Section, which invariably became a death sentence as rations were progressively reduced. The Soviet principle of Trudodin, workday units, meant that food allocations were directly tied to productivity, creating a vicious cycle where malnourished prisoners became progressively weaker and less able to meet the demands placed upon them. The workday officially lasted 10 hours, but often extended much longer. During the construction of the Bellamore Canal, a project that claimed over 25,000 lives, guards would chalk quotas on prisoners' backs in the morning. Those who failed to meet them by nightfall were often left at the work site overnight. Gustav Herling, a Polish survivor, described in A World Apart how during the long Arctic summer, when darkness never fell, guards would extend shifts indefinitely, claiming it was still the same workday. At the Ozalag complex near Lake Baikal, prisoner John Noble remembered how the 10-hour shift was considered only the time actively working, not including the hours marching to and from work sites or waiting for tools. Only the harshest weather conditions would halt outdoor labor, and even then, as Solzhenitsyn noted in One Day in the Life of Ivan Denisovich, work would be stopped only when the temperature dropped below -41 degrees Celsius, and even this rule was frequently ignored when production quotas fell behind. At the Magadan transit camp, former prisoner Eleanor Lipper recalled a guard's cynical joke: "Here we have only 2 seasons, winter and July." Living quarters offered little respite from the day's hardships. In most camps, prisoners were crowded into barracks designed for a fraction of their actual population. The standard norm in the 1930s was less than 2 square meters of space per prisoner, though actual conditions were often much worse. In Magadan transit camp, women described sleeping in shifts because there wasn't enough floor space for everyone to lie down simultaneously. At Kolyma's Butugichag uranium mine, administrative apparatus.
But I'm trying to get at this. I think I'm skipping
EVE
it.
Online is a
I'm all over the
had
map.
become a state within a state, with its
And I
own
don't feel like cutting it up and putting it
economy,
in.
transportation system, and culture. The notorious Vaigash Island camp in the Arctic Circle, where prisoners mined lead and zinc in perpetual darkness during winter months, reported mortality rates exceeding 30% annually. Camp administrators received bonuses for exceeding production quotas, creating perverse incentives that prioritized output over human lives. The irony of the Gulag system lay in its economic inefficiency
Here we go.
despite the exploitation of millions. Malnourished, poorly equipped prisoners working in extreme conditions could rarely match the productivity of free labor. The Salekhard-Igarka Railway, nicknamed the Dead Road, consumed thousands of lives before being abandoned after Stalin's death, leaving hundreds of kilometers of tracks to rust in the tundra. As economist and former prisoner
Here we go.
Lev Razgon noted, the camps consumed more resources than they produced, but this was irrelevant to a system that valued control above all else.
Yeah, so that's what I mean for the moment, because the last 24 years have been all about investing into a surveillance panopticon, radioactive panopticon that is more cost effective than all the conventional means that we have now. But whenever I look at video of all of these ICE agents arresting everybody, all of those people, to me, a lot of them don't look, they just look like I have a very good documentary in my collection here that is called How Ordinary Citizens Become Murderers. It's about the Holocaust. And a lot of them, they just get scared. They don't want to be, they're being watched by everybody. And they don't want to be the one that is perceived as weak, because then they get placed on these, they get killed off. So what the United States has done is created this weird amalgamation of the communist form of shame and humiliation to control you, where you're watched everywhere and they can post what you do wherever they want to get people to think whatever they want about you. And then you start to self-regulate yourself because you have to run everything through the what are they going to think if I say this or that, or and then also the Nazi Gestapo authoritarian behavior where you could just shoot a person and kill them. And when I say it's an amalgamation, I mean and I'll show the video here that I just put in the other file, if I watch the wrong media or I think or say the wrong thing in my own personal space or outside, this follows you everywhere, I will be shot with radiation. And even though it doesn't look like a phaser blast from Star Trek, it is cumulative damage, and it does have effects on your health. It has effects on your state of being. Like, it makes you feel, depending on how much, and that's what I bring up in that last note where I got this on camera, it gives you this really off feeling, depending on how much of whatever it takes for this to work inside of your body. And I don't know if it's graphene oxide or Shaywanella or some kind of whatever biological chemical agent, whatever it is, depending on how much of it is concentrated in your body while you're being targeted this way, you're going to feel it. And it makes you feel like, they can make your joints feel like really like stiff and sore. They can make your heart beat super fast. It can make your head throb. But what I'm getting right now at the same levels that I was getting just a few weeks ago, and I'll show it in the video, is high amounts of radiation if I'm watching things that they don't want me to watch, and but less of a pronounced feeling for me. I could feel it vibrating my body, but it doesn't feel as acute as it did just a few weeks ago, because I use activated charcoal. I will use N-acetylcysteine. I move around at the gym. I try to sweat around at the gym, which is why I took the job at Amazon when I did, because I couldn't sit still, and you're not going to sit still at Amazon. But now I'm in a cubicle, and if I don't go out of my way to keep my system clean, if it's true that this takes a doping agent, I don't know the mechanisms completely. And I don't have an electron microscope or a microscope that looks at things down to what I think would be as small as about 100 nanometers, or microns in size. I don't know what I have in my body, and there's no doctor who's going to look. So, and it might not even need anything. For all I know, you could do this to anyone, anywhere. They have a wide or a narrow aperture, and it focuses the radiation just to your body or just to your building. But I am getting recordings now of the building that I'm working in, and there's already high pitched. I have those in here. If I have room, I will put them in here too. They're already, I could hear the hiss at work. So most people would dismiss it, but I can hear it. And which means they're already surveilling that building, which means they will start to um, look at everything and look for angles to screw with me. They'll turn everyone around me into secondary and tertiary targets. That doesn't necessarily mean they will attack them like they do me, but they will look for angles and means of manipulating the situation in their favor to get at me. And the unfortunate reality is that from the inside looking out from your own body, when you get hit with these systems and they start to affect you physiologically and mentally, you always feel like you're at the helm of your own brain and body and impulses, but you're really not. The human brain and human beings in general have very little, they have degrees of autonomy, and those are eroded less or more based on environmental circumstances. And now you have to factor in the ability to manipulate the human brain and nervous system, since it's all integrated, with copious amounts of radiation to make you feel certain ways. And so that might mean crankier people around you, or happier people around you, or hornier people around you. All of those things are literally flick of a switch. That plus the introduction of being able to transmit audio, vocal audio, into the building, that while being incredibly subtle and relatively silent and dismissible as being in the next room over or outside the building, it has an influence. Hearing the same shit repeated over and over again, which I don't hear it while I'm at work. I'm in training, so I'm like concentrating on the screen and the instructor. But if I stopped to listen to what they're saying, a lot of whining and occasional shit talking, but it's so subtle that I could still work through it. But who knows what other people are hearing, how much they're picking up on, and then more importantly, how much of it they just ignore. Most people will rationalize it and say, "Oh, there's must be a real homophobic person here," because I hear the F-bomb. People are constantly hurling homophobic slurs at me, and it sounds like it's in another room though. And there's, people are in different rooms in the building, and so someone's going to start looking around if they do hear it, and they're going to start looking for who's talking shit. It's nobody in the building. It's a piece of trash with access to these systems, God knows where. So anyways, where was I with the video? So now I'm getting ready. I'm going home. So I'm turning. This is the first turn that I make away from the building. And so this is the first thing that I noticed. And you can see the people are in there. And that's another indicator. They're both waiting in the car, which is why I was like, okay, it's probably just people waiting for their kids. But the colors are what make me wonder. And then you have, of course, the red Jeep. The red Jeep was the first thing that they had at the beginning of my first week, right behind me. And then, so I'm going to turn in there. And then why did I save this? Oh, you got the red Jeep, and then you have, where's the other one? Downloads. Go in here. It's a mess. May 10th. And then you have, so you have the Jeep turns away. So why would somebody in the other video, in this video right here, why would you turn? I mean, you can't really, it's not for me to say where somebody's going, but it's just odd to me that after just leaving from right here, they would immediately, the red Jeep, I mean, they would immediately, I suppose it's not that weird, but it's just the position of where they're turning. This is the first road that I turn into when this is the road that I take when I first start to go to work. This is the curvy road where the people were following me in the morning. So let me grab that video. That road right here is this road right over here. So it's this road where I'm turning right there. So it's right here. It's the entire route gets plotted and covered. And so that red car follows me in there. You see it turning right there. You see the red car and the white car. They're both following me, and this is this spot right here where I'm turning. So when I leave, the reason why I don't go down back this road again is that there's like the intersection. It's not like I can't make a left turn, so I'm forced to go into this like all the way around square. But a red and a white vehicle at the beginning of my route after I leave from the shift, and then more importantly, when I get to this intersection, you see the same police again. And I'll get right there. So I'm going to make a turn. There's the police again. And I want to emphasize how odd this driver is going here, because it's an intercept course and they're working with CBAs. And so while it looks like they're about to pull that vehicle over on the right, that vehicle is actually driving more slowly, because what I think they're trying to do is coordinate so that they get put in front of the camera. So I'll let it play in real time. See how it's kind of going extra slow? But this is the same spot. So this is on the route going home, and then I'm going to turn. Let me turn really quick. And you see another one right here. There's another one right there. So it's, maybe there's a police officer that I want to think rationally and have a rational explanation for why they're there. But I've already shown on multiple days on my route, they're in the exact same spot. Maybe they're on a schedule. Could just be that. I want it to just be that. But the fact that they are, they're doing the stupid car thing, and then there's the red and white car at the beginning of the shift that follows me all the fucking way over to that little same spot, and then the end of the shift comes, and then the stupid headlight on this one. It's just, they want you to know that they're watching them. They want you to feel like you're in a panopticon. So it's like the diagram. It's the diagram I have online, just completely recreated to fuck with me. There's a red and white cars. And it's not me looking for something. If you go into my playlist collections, if you click on, I think this one right here, this one takes you into vehicular mobbing on YouTube. You click it. This entire playlist has other targeted people. This is the organized stalking manual, but I did keep this one on here. I should have that one on there too. Right here, this one. You click on this one. This takes you to vehicular mobbing, and they explain this. So it's the floating box.
Happy Sunday.
She's
to
another target.
You too.
Same thing.
5 articles. I have read 2 of these articles. I'm going to read just parts of it to you. If you go to, I think it was, they are creating their floating box. And you notice vehicles coming from different ways. They are creating their floating box. They have what they call a stakeout box, a trigger vehicle, cheating vehicle. They talk about, in this particular article, vehicle modifications, to dim the headlights, to make one of the headlights go out, that kind of thing. And they use a potpourri of different vehicles, to do all of this surveillance. And they use people of all walks of life, grandmothers to young children, families, lone wolves, that kind of thing. Anybody can be a surveiller for the FBI or government, and you cannot look at somebody and tell whether they are a surveiller or not. It just matters whether they're greedy enough to do it. So this was specifically very interesting to me.
So, that's that. Now I wanted to, these are some of the things that I saw over the week that I've been talking about in a lot of my notes, how they are trying to lay down the legal foundations for being able to get away with their surveillance abuses over the last 24 years especially. And so I always go back to this video. Here we go. And part of the way that that's happening is by eliminating the 14th Amendment. And so you see multiple things. You start seeing apps like Better Health or whatever, where you talk to a shrink on your phone on quite possibly the most vulnerable, insecure device that you could own. It's a public. If you go on BetterHelp or you do any of your doctor's visits through a phone, you're sharing your medical information with everyone. That's you saying, go ahead and take all of my medical history, warts and all. Like, go ahead and look at it all. And data miners love that. And so if you click on this one, it always takes you to. This is my first.
Meet the
I had been talking
tiniest
about this.
HR team in the world. What do you think Paylocity does?
I had been talking about this years. So as soon as this video is from 5 years ago, I brought this up like 2019-ish. How they're gonna they want to get rid of your HIPAA rights. They want to get rid of all of your biometric rights. And so I made that
one of the
graphic
prime
in
constitutional
response.
concerns
But
about
eroding your civil rights and your any rights that have to do with bodily autonomy, the 14th Amendment, getting rid of the Supreme Court judgment for Roe versus Wade, and then this. I'll let her talk.
the non-consensual use of facial recognition technology is rooted or alluded to in the 14th Amendment, correct?
It's correct. It's one of them.
And right now,
I showed this to
companies,
somebody the
governments,
other day.
agencies can essentially steal or use your biometric data from you without your consent. And this is outrageous, right? Because this is America, and we have a right to privacy. Isn't that right, Ms. Coliani?
That's absolutely right.
And Ms. Coliani, what was the Supreme Court case that identified the right to privacy?
It's been, I don't remember the original one, but there's been a series of cases where the court has essentially said, look, with modern technology, it shouldn't mean that we don't have Fourth Amendment rights.
Yes, and what was there a landmark Supreme Court decision that established that we've seen recently?
You know, we've seen the Carpenter case where the court said that it was unconstitutional to warrantlessly surveil individuals. We've seen cases where the court has also said that you can't search a cell phone without a warrant
And
into arrest.
most specifically, with relation to the 14th Amendment, it was Roe v. Wade that established the right to privacy. Is that correct?
Roe v. Wade, the right to privacy was addressed there as well.
Right, so, we don't just have, because that right to privacy is alluded to, part of the case in our right to privacy is that this doesn't just give us a right to my uterus, it gives me a right to my hand and my shoulders, my heads, my knees, my toes, and my face. And so in some ways, part of the case, although it's not all of it, there's a great deal rooted in the 14th Amendment with search and seizure, but in our right to privacy, we also see here that this is about our entire body, our right to our entire body. And the similar principle that keeps a legislator out of my womb is the same principle that would keep Facebook and algorithms off of all of our faces. And so do you think it's fair to draw that connection?
I think that when we're talking about privacy, it is important to think about more than our face, right? So we're seeing the FBI use things like voice recognition and gait recognition, all different types of biometrics that I think fundamentally raise some of the same privacy
And
so beautiful
that have been talked about by all the panelists today.
Thank you so much. And Ms. Bulamwini, I heard your opening statement, and we saw that the...
So I brought this up when my targeting was in its third year, But people are stupid. Like, people are dumb, and this is where I'm going to get to this interview, which is really all I should have focused on. But I want to show more of, I want to chronicle this as it happens. The legal foundations for a fascist authoritarian technological biocracy panopticon hellhole. So here's more of that. This is I got this from this video right here, and they're going over the budget proposals from the administration. So you can see all these things getting gutted, and in a fascist hellhole, then you start to put it all into Homeland Security and defense and all of that shit. They're Nazis. These are
Saved my life. And the Department of Defense, which he wants to boost and give them
getting $1 trillion already.
A $1 trillion budget, as though they don't have enough money. And I mean, have you been hearing about they like make these wrong turns in the ocean and these jets just fall into the ocean and they lose them? It's like the second time it's happened. What's happening over there?
That's Doge. We need Doge. Doge can figure it out. Wow, I know we have a lot to continue discussing, but you can throw this back up. Jaden, giving you a sense, you could even pause this if you want and look, because I'm not going to read this all out to you, but which department would have significant decreases in their funds? All of this because, and it says this in the New York Times article, I'll just read the beginning. President Trump on Friday proposed slashing $163 billion in federal spending next fiscal year, drastic retrenchment in the role and reach of federal or of government that, if enacted, would eliminate a vast set of climate, education, health, and housing programs, including some that benefit the poor. Issuing his first budget proposal since returning to office, Mr. Trump sketched out a dim view of Washington's blueprint, depicted many core government functions as woke, weaponized, wasteful, radical, and that gets at what we're going to hear.
Yeah, so I guess wanting to have my own personal thoughts, like bodily autonomy, whatever you actually have left, and then privacy in my own personal space, those are all radical ideas now. So it's real sick shit. And I brought all of this up years ago. Like years and years ago when my targeting, but everyone just said, oh, you're crazy. You're a crazy conspiracy theorist. They don't do that kind of shit here, or you can't do those things. What was one of the comments I got? No es cierto, no pueden hacer eso. Like, just a complete denial of the ability to surveil the human brain and body this way from people who don't want to hear it. They just don't want to hear it. So, let me see here. Let's go here.
They need to force you into different emotional states constantly, and then
I just
only
wanted
then
to come
can
over
they,
this
can
one
they
if it even lets
remotely
me.
capture those and remotely capture, identify, and develop those emotional responses as being coherent, and then integrate them back into R&M data.
Really quick though, let me get the screen grab for yesterday. So yesterday I was watching ICE agents arresting a family, and it got really messy, and I started to get shot because I started talking shit to the pigs involved. And so let me let this play. It's just late. I'm just in the fucking bedroom and doing nothing. This is my terrorist activity.
Immediately.
This is what it's like to be in a radioactive panopticon, where every move, like literally the subtlest, your heart rate, your thoughts, your respiration, what you're watching on a screen, that you don't even have to hack into the devices that you're using to stream anything. It is all air gapped. It is all picked up on.
All right, really quick, just wanted to get the date, first of all, Saturday, May 10th.
Oh, and then another thing, like my direct deposit didn't work. I was like, maybe I gave them the wrong number, so I went all the way to the bank to check that I had the right numbers, and they confirmed all of my routing numbers, all of my my checking account numbers, and nothing. I didn't get my direct deposit. And they told me last week, they were like, we're punishing you. And it's true. They really do that. They don't want the targets to have a way to support themselves in any capacity. They want you to end up in an alley, destitute, with yelling at your V2K transmissions so that you look like a schizophrenic to all of the ignorant people who have no idea that this is technologically possible. So,
before wanted to get
this
this
is on
on
a side
video
note.
because so I put this video on here about ICE. It's like a bunch of people arresting a family, and like a bunch of mob forms around the agents, and I start to talk shit about the fascist pigs involved, and then immediately the numbers went up on my Gauss meter. So 7.8. But the thing that I wanted to, so let me see where it maxed out. Maxed out at 8.8. The thing I wanted to point out though, let me, so here this does the average and the max. So the average, it's been average.
Yeah, I'm going to rant about how that gauge reads. Just in case any people think I'm manipulating anything, I'm not manipulating shit. I was just watching this video.
Sound that I hear.
Oh yeah, and so not only do I feel everything hitting me more, and then the Gauss meter measures the amount of radiation, but you can hear it. It sounds like there's a truck outside, like there's a 18-wheeler on idle, parked outside the house, and then an overarching high-pitched squeal, and so it's disgusting.
I could hear it, like the rumble is incredibly low, so it sounds like there's a diesel parked outside. But aside from that, what I wanted to point out is, where's my remote for the TV? I haven't been feeling as much, regardless of how high they bring it up.
So I'm bringing up what I said earlier, which is even though they shot me with a lot more radiation, anything over 3, you're going to feel it. The thing that I'm bringing up here, though, is how... for whatever reason, it doesn't feel as
at home. I didn't get that same friend behavior.
So let me keep going.
The NSA. And
I just want to show the numbers for this. Is there anything else on here? So yeah, you'll get shot if you consume media that doesn't align with their agenda, and what they end up doing is it's a form of aversion therapy. So now they want you to associate what they don't want you to watch with bad, and then so you get punished. They hit a button. It's the Ludovico, Clockwork Orange, dog with a shock collar training system. It's disgusting. Like, you don't do this to a fucking human being, especially one who's able to measure all of your fucking bullshit while you do it. I never opted in to living in a fucking panopticon with some asshole having a fucking electromagnetic leash that doubles as a shock collar around you. Like, all these people, anyone involved in these programs who's violating due process, Fourth Amendment rules and laws, civil rights, should be made an example of, like they did in the Nuremberg trials.
So that's what I'm saying. So the conflict will trigger you into different. You're going to use these situational and conversational scenarios, these organized stalkers, and government perpetrators. And there's a difference between organized stalkers and government perpetrators. Organized stalkers are basically government informants, okay, mostly low level, but they're government informants turned into provocateurs. Government perpetrators are government officials turned into provocateurs, like the police. So big difference between the two. But again, they need to constantly force you into different emotional states, okay, and in order to be able to. It's kind of a combination of the movie The Truman Show and The Exorcist. You know, that's why they got to keep the victim constantly boxed in and surrounded. Okay, so as soon as you were
and these are 2 other targets. So like they're definitely expanding their numbers in the prison. So it's disgusting. But there's more. I'm seeing more and more people complaining about this online.
For this technology, all the available apartments.
But when I saw, like, I knew about this guy years ago, and this is his channel, but this one's new. So there's got to be they must really be growing the numbers. and it makes sense. All the AI, you see all these jobs, that are getting just regular jobs. I think they're replacing a lot of humans involved in these programs already too. And so that's going to lower costs, like I said, and that's going to make it so that you could bring in more. But they're trying to find that nice, the cusp between getting how much they could get away with before they get caught. And so that's where people like me are a big problem, because if you have the equipment to measure the abuse, and let me see here. If you have the equipment to measure the abuse, and you visually, and then just with spectrum analyzers, and then with microphones, and then you have all of this, you've taken the time to collect all these other, all these videos related to the abuse, it's a problem.
Homes, hotel rooms, offices, etc. In, around, and next to you, all of them that were available were leased, were subleased, and then the hive mind teams, the surveillance teams, all the way down to the organized stalkers at the street level, they all moved in, and training, research, and development began. So people say, it's my neighbors, it's my neighbors, it's my neighbors. Well, it is their neighbors, but it's much more than just their neighbors. Okay, the neighbors can be turned against you, but it's the new neighbors. It's the new neighbors. It would be more accurate to say my new neighbors, not neighbors, because some people have been. My aunt and uncle live right next door to the head of the FBI, special agent in charge for the entire state of South Carolina.
So now that I'm in going into a new part of town, now I'm starting to get a feel for all of the perps there. And so they're introducing themselves. Like they're there to show this is, and Michael Pooley, the chief of police there, is a former Tempe Police Department officer. And so I know that they're involved. I know they know exactly what's being done. The city of Tempe, I wouldn't be surprised if they were one of the first. Phoenix and Tempe are one of the first police departments to use these programs and deny their existence to anyone who complains about them.
Mm-hmm. And he's a next door neighbor. He's not down the street. He's the next door neighbor. Okay?
Is he targeting them?
He's dead. He's dead. He's dead. I don't know how he died. But they were suddenly, there are 2 boxes stored 2 boxes in their house. Well, the government knows what was in one of those boxes. Okay, and so it began. They got targeted. I don't know if it's because of the boxes or what. Pretty sure. Anyway,
this is fucking ridiculous.
So what happened was this. They got started. Their house started getting breaking repeatedly every day. Things started getting moved around.
This is what happens when you don't go on Grindr on your phone for a long time. They've got me all wrong.
Objects started getting vandalized and destroyed. They stole her wedding pictures, for example. I mean, when I say plausible to absurd, plausible to the absurd, okay? They stole her wedding pictures, okay? What they're doing is provoking her and him into emotional responses, which can be remotely measured. They're basically setting them up for the system, for the technology, okay? And their next door neighbor is special agent in charge of the Columbia FBI office, which makes him the de facto head of the FBI for the state of South Carolina. Mm-hmm. That's the next door neighbor, and all this has happened. No way that happens, and your next door neighbor's head of the FBI. That does not happen. Okay, you're not. It's obviously the government. Okay, but so that's what they're doing. They're basically remember. There was an activist in California who was killed. I can't remember her name. And she was against all these vaccines, and basically she was killed. She died. They hit her with a pulse of energy. What they did is they just kept targeting. You remember? I'll give you a better example. You remember the doctor on ABC News? The doctor that was getting stalked, and they were coming into her house. She's a black lady, real pretty lady. And they're coming into her home, and they're rearranging furniture, and they're engaging in all these gaslighting tactics. I can't remember the video, But if we could pull it up, it would be a great example to show people how this works. Okay, so this doctor was one of the doctors at my hospital in San Diego, and she's getting targeted now.
So they're gonna show this woman,
and while I was stopped.
Okay.
I don't even know if I want to go that far. This interview was really. They needed to do a little cutting, but they didn't feel like it. So here's a doctor getting targeted. She doesn't know what it is. She ends up getting lucky because if you have a few extra letters in front of your name, you might be able to actually get the news to do something. But everyone else is fucked.
Okay. No, I got it. I got it on YouTube. I just had to share the screen real quick.
Okay, so we're going to let the play flip through all the way through, and then we're going to go back and talk about it, okay?
Okay.
This is perfect.
I'm just going to skip.
It's the thing nightmares are made of.
It's so creepy that I decided to have a bolt put on the door, and
I have her in my collection.
Creepy only begins to describe it.
It's like an alternate reality, really.
When she'd get home from work, Fasika Tafara started noticing things out of place in her home.
They were just all open, but what was weird is, so for example, they were open like this, but they were all at the same level.
First, the windows, then lights turned on, her cabinets pulled out.
It's intended to let me know that somebody has been here, essentially, right? So all of the drawers have been pulled out.
Something strange every single day for almost the past month. She finally realized someone has been coming inside.
Are people following me? And then I started to wonder also, well, how do they know when I'm here and when I'm not here?
Then Tafara found this small camera in her 11-year-old son's bedroom. So she took to the internet and started digging. But she found something called community or gang stalking. It's an eerie practice aimed at your psyche to make you almost feel like you're going crazy.
It's spooky, and my understanding is that if this is in fact what it is, it can go on for years,
Only you're not. Tafara left her phone recording audio at her house. Listen, you can hear what sounds like people rummaging around. On one, you can hear what sounds like drilling.
So this hole here has been cut into the attic space.
Tafara says detectives have been to the house.
It's kind of like, if it happens again, call us, but there's not much we can do.
Something that makes this even more terrifying.
All right, stop it.
Let me ask you something. Do you want to make money online? Do this. Swipe left.
1 second.
Now go back.
Left on affiliate marketing.
Okay. All right. Here we go.
No, you got to go back to the video.
Okay. It's on the video.
You're one video ahead now.
It's on the video.
Okay. Okay. Now, I want you to start playing it from the beginning.
It's the thing nightmares are made of.
It's so creepy that I decided to.
Where he's able to use the visual workspace in his mind. The Hindus and the Buddhists call it the third eye. It's not the third eye. It's the visual workspace in the human mind. And he's able to pull up all these screens that only he can see. Okay, and so what's happening right here with Fasika Tafara is it's just getting started. They're using trauma to create a cognitive model. They're forcing her into physical and psychological trauma to map out the sensory and neural pathways of her brain and central nervous system. I tried to reach her, I couldn't get to her. Okay, if I could have got her quickly, I could have probably saved her. Okay, I couldn't get to her.
I wonder if she's being hit by weapons and knows she's being hit by weapons now, and remote neural manipulated. I wonder if she knows.
She's probably a high-profile target because of her education.
So here we go. This is what I wanted to get to in regards to another video that I saw where, man, I was listening to this guy and he starts off his video talking about how people are just isolating, and I don't think they're targeted people. These are just
aliens landed.
People who they've been eaten up through their cell phones and the technology around them. They're not even targeted like I am. I have to emphasize again, I'm not a fucking incel. I'm not somebody who wants to stay in my basement and isolate myself. I'm somebody who, because of the level of surveillance that I've been put on, because this isn't just surveillance, this doubles as a neuro weapon, it's a weapon system. I have to quarantine myself for the safety of others. but I have to eat. So if I show up around you, it's because I don't want to starve to death. Like otherwise, it's not worth going near anyone that you care about or that you want, if you even want to date them, because they'll start to get fucked with. They'll turn them into leverage, or they'll indoctrinate them into these programs, and then you're fucked that way. So I'll let them talk.
Do you ever look around and feel like you're the last human on Earth, but somehow your phone keeps buzzing with notifications from people who don't even know you exist? Welcome to the loneliness epidemic. We've got memes, we've got swiping, we've got AI companions who will text you sweet nothings while you die slowly in your overpriced one-bedroom apartment. Now, I'm not saying things are bad. I'm saying they're so disconnected that if aliens landed tomorrow, the first thing they'd think is, why are you all staring into little rectangles while your souls leak out of your eyeballs? All right, so today I want to talk about that deep, gnawing emptiness we all pretend isn't real. And let's start with a little light horror. So according to a 2023 CDC report, nearly half of US adults report feeling lonely always or often. That's not occasionally bummed out. That's chronic, bone deep, I would hug a snake if it made eye contact, loneliness. I mean, you know it's bad when the US Surgeon General issues an 80-page advisory about loneliness being as dangerous as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. Not figuratively, literally. Your isolation is rotting you from the inside like a carton of discount gas station sushi. And it turns out that if you're under 30, congrats, you've won the misery lottery. Gen Z is now considered the loneliest generation ever recorded, despite being the most connected in human history. That's what happens when your childhood friendships are all based on Fortnite skins and disappearing Snapchat streaks. All right, so let's really zoom in on one of the most deranged part of this whole thing, modern dating. I mean, you knew we were going to go here. So once upon a time, you met someone because they sat behind you in high school algebra, or maybe they lived next door, or worked at the record store you shoplifted from. You got to know them slowly. You fell in love by accident, naturally, like catching the flu. And now, you're gamified. You're reduced to a profile picture, a pithy one-liner, and your proximity to someone else's geolocation settings. Tinder, Bumble, Hinge, the new holy trinity of romantic disappointment. We swipe like slot machines, chasing that dopamine hit, that little red heart, that validation that, yes, you are hot enough to be wanted, but not enough to be loved.
Oh God! So I have to give this. I have to stop right there. Um, while I was at the gym, I used my. I carry this little, very covert camera on my shirt. You can't see it. It blends into my shirt. Like it's just unless you're really, really looking closely at me, you can't see it. I don't use it for anyone else. I use it for any potential Stasi that surround me because they send CBAs, community-based agents, wherever I go. And if I suspect you're one, I will click my little panic button that you could barely see me touch, and then it'll start to record your face that I then put into an archive for for the day, and it's not far, that we all get the public version of Clearview AI built into some meta glasses or for whatever you have, so that it combs through the archive of faces that you've collected, and you could then use to create you could show the degrees of separation between these people and all of the programs and the companies that were involved in surveilling you for legal purposes. I don't use it because I'm trying to be a creep. I wouldn't want to use it. You're not allowed to take it in the gym. I already got permission from the gym to use it in there, but I don't use it for anything but that. And I did get myself on video doing using the sled because it's just a cool shot. The camera goes on everything. It sticks to everything. But anyways, while I was looking at my own video of myself pulling the sled, I noticed the top of my head where I get shot with radiation. The hair is like really, it's always kind of been thin there, but it's thinner because it's been 67,000 hours of them shooting me right there. And then I don't even say anything in front of my phone. I don't do anything. Less than an hour later, I'm standing in front of my fucking TV and I'm getting this ad for Spartan hair products to regrow your hair. Like, I didn't even look online. This is how fucking interconnected, and this is how you know that there's pigs involved in this. The police take your fucking data and they sell it to different groups. It could be explained away and made plausibly deniable by saying, oh, well, based on your age and your purchases recently, we noticed your credit card purchased some, that you bought some minoxidil from Costco. They'll use that to cover it up. But get the fuck out of here. The day I come back from the gym and I look at the top of my head and I'm like, looks like it's really thinning out back there. I've always kind of looked there. I get home and on my TV, Spartan hair regrowth. So there is a connection between your remote neural monitoring biometrics and the products being shoved in front of your face. So what I've said is I will never, if you fucking advertise to me right now while I'm being surveilled this way and violated this way, I will boycott your fucking product.
It's not a date.
Just on a
It's
side
a
note.
casino. That's right. We're back in the casino again. And
it's really sad too, man. I walk around in that gym. So for me, because I'm gay, the gym kind of doubles as eye candy depending on which part of the gym you're in. And it's really sad. Like, I feel like I'm not allowed to do anything because if I do, then now those people are going to get fucked with. I have about a week before it's over. So I'm like, if it's somebody, it's especially sad if you start to date and then you go near these people and then they get indoctrinated in the program. They get let in, you get slandered to them, and then they're willing to play ball screwing with your body and your brain and psychologically manipulating you, gaslighting you.
You're the desperate.
They get used, the police use them for red flag laws so that they could try to paint you as mentally ill, create a track record of mental illness to get you to lose a gun that you don't even give a fuck about in the first place. But that's what it's all
gambler
meant to do.
Holding out hope that one more spin will land you
out.
someone who doesn't just ghost you after 3 texts and a picture of their dog. All right, so you ever notice how dating apps never really end? There's no finish line. You don't get to a gold medal or a girlfriend. You just get more options. Always more options. Choice paralysis. More people to judge. More profiles to scroll past, like the Amazon products you'll never buy.
So multiply that times 10 for a gay man who your dating pool is already smaller than all of your heterosexual counterparts. And then add on top of that, and this is what a fascist hellhole is, add on top of that targeting, which then allows that smaller dating pool, to be infiltrated by honeypots. They use all demographics. They're fascists, but they're more than willing to indoctrinate gay people, and they have for me. Before I knew what was going on with me, almost every piece of shit that I dated, a lot of them, I wouldn't be surprised, were involved in these programs. They may not have been initially, but they get let in on what's being done with you, and then you're the odd man out. And everyone around you starts to get used against you to gaslight you and to create these track records of phony mental illness. But I just when I watched this, I was like, yeah, holy shit. I was like, I haven't felt solitude in 67,000 hours. I actually miss the feeling of isolation and solitude. I have not had that feeling in 67,000 fucking hours, because these people are constantly transmitting banter into the house, constantly shooting me, constantly interacting with me through the remote excitation of my nervous system, and the media that I'm consuming on the screens they spy on. Even if I chose to go hiking today and play with my drone, well, the drone requires a phone, which means even if you didn't use the phone, they would know right where you were. They would see where you are in the map, and then they would start making sounds according to where you are. Sounds, talking shit about where you are, anything. It's a panopticon. So it's not even a panopticon. It is a constant reinforcement of you're being watched wherever you fucking go. And so it's a disgusting fascist hellhole where if you're part of a marginalized group, it's going to be even more difficult for you now. But especially if you're a gay man. Gay people get shit on in every demographic. I always think of not the concentration camp documentary that I saw, where gay men were targeted within by the different groups in there. They were sub-targeted by all those subcategories of people in the concentration camps. So you're shit on the most. So it's no surprise to me that if you have a radioactive panopticon where a bunch of fascist, xenophobic, homophobic pigs have invisible bullets, they're going to shoot the shit out of you more than disproportionately compared to your counterparts in the same prison. And they're also going to use all these tactics, all these honeypots, all these perps that start to use. If I went on Grindr today, you better fucking believe they would have a perp who's there to potentially put graphene oxide in your food and drink, to disease you, to gaslight you. So it's real sick shit. But we'll get back, and that takes me back to this.
Okay, so she was a lifelong target, a lifelong study. Okay, but at regular intervals, there will be severe trauma induced into her life. She'll lose her job, she'll lose her house, she'll lose her kids. Child Protective Services will come and take them away. She'll be attacked, beaten up, or robbed. All these things will happen to her at regular intervals. At regular intervals, these terrible traumatic experiences will keep occurring throughout her life. And that's because they're using that trauma to map her brain, you see? Physical, psychological trauma. Press play, keep going.
Her cabinet's pulled out.
It's intended to let me know that somebody has been here, essentially, right? So all of the drawers have been pulled out.
Something strange every single day for almost the past month. She finally realized someone has been coming inside.
Are people following me? And then I started to wonder also, well, how do they know when I'm here and when I'm not here?
Then Tafara found this small camera in her 11-year-old son's bedroom. So she took to the internet and started digging.
They wanted her to find that camera, or she would never have found it. They don't even use those kind of cameras, man. They use sophisticated and advanced cameras you can't even see, okay? And now they don't even use cameras. They use a process called telemetry. Okay. So the supercomputer bounces microwaves off every object in your house. The supercomputer, using various software, is able to produce a 3D in living color, 3D model of you and everything inside your house and everything that's happening inside your house. It's called telemetry. It just uses microwaves and bounces off everything in your house, and in real, true life, living color, They can create a model of you and everything you're doing inside the house.
I don't know about
Okay.
I don't know about the color part, but if you have this, so here's this. This is from a YouTube channel called 2 Minute Papers. You can take a series of photos. So you could have very limited data visually for an environment. And if you're a dumbass who's targeted and you hear the hum and the hiss and you haven't taken the time to buy an $11 camera cover from Amazon, it's probably twice as much now, thanks to Trump. You're giving them this
we are
right
going
here.
to take a collection of photos
This is
like
like
these
4 photos,
and
4 input
magically create a video where we can fly through these photos. How is this even possible?
Watch this.
Especially that the input is only a handful of photos. Well, we give it to a learning algorithm and ask it to synthesize a photorealistic video where we fly through the scene as we please. That sounds impossible. Especially that some information is given about the scene, but this is really not much. And everything in between these photos has to be synthesized here. Let's see how well this new method can perform that, but don't expect too much. And wow, it took a handful of photos and filled in the rest so well that we got a smooth and creamy video out of it.
So if you're a moron who hasn't taken the time to cover your camera, and I do, and that's why when I'm at work, I'm like dreading the fucking camera that I'm on. They've been waiting for years to get me on camera. And so I know that there's a retired or ex-police officer in the room. I don't know who it is. I know that the person who left right away during training, I know she might have been a perp. But I don't really care about CBAs. If you're going to do your job and you're going to, if you're a pussy and you decide to participate in these programs because you have no historical context for your behavior, I'm not going to blame you. I'm not going to give you shit. But if there is anybody involved around me, one of the jobs that they have is to hold their phone around my environment, so the house, where I park, wherever, to get a very detailed look at the environments that I occupy.
So the images certainly look good.
And if you're a moron who hasn't covered up your cameras, you're doing it for them, which is why they've been itching to get me in front of a camera. They're watching me through my work camera. They look at my screens. They look at my camera feed. They look at every camera that I walk under. If I'm at the gym, they're watching through there.
Good in isolation. Now, let's compare it to the real-world images that we already have but have hidden from the algorithm, and hold on to your papers. Wow, this is breathtaking. It is not a great deal different, is it?
I'm not sure. It seems like Gaussian splatting, but you can take... So they know everywhere that you're walking. They know... And even if it is a shitty 2D little sticks figure of you, it's still a huge violation.
They don't use big old cameras as big as a brick. That's meant for her to find. She's meant to find that. Okay, that's psychological trauma. Okay, they're trying to deliberately. What happened as soon as she was chosen, as soon as Dr. Pasika Tafara was chosen, okay, she every available home, every available office, every available hotel room in and around her area was leased and subleased. Then they all moved in. The hive mind teams, the surveillance teams, the organized stalkers. Okay. I know exactly where her neighborhood is. It's within walking distance from where I used to live. That house. I know exactly where she works. That was my clinic that I went to for medical treatment before I filed a lawsuit against them, and they wouldn't see me anymore.
See, I think it's just because so many people are getting targeted. Like in California.
Well, her name is Dr. Pasika Tafara. Yeah. I mean, they have to keep. They're scaling the technology up for everyone. All 324 million Americans. So that's the problem. That's the problem we have now. That's why you're seeing them come out and admit these direct energy attacks are happening. And they're saying it's the Russians and the Chinese. No, it's not. It's the Americans. But they got to divert attention away from themselves. That's called indirection.
It's Russia, China, America, Israel.
Of course.
Everyone.
Of course, but it's not the Russians attacking Dr. Pasika Tafara.
Right.
It's not the Russians attacking you and me. Mm-hmm. I've been to Russia, man. I walked down the streets of St. Petersburg, Russia. I sent a postcard to my aunt, the one who's targeted. okay, in Columbia, South Carolina. I sent a postcard to her at the post office in St. Petersburg, Russia, downtown. Okay, in St. Petersburg, Russia. I sent a postcard to her from there, and she got that postcard. Okay, so it's not the Chinese that are targeting Dr. Pacifica Fund. It's the Americans. It's the American intelligence agencies. Okay, training, research, and development in artificial superintelligence technologies. Okay, they're by re-engineering, by reverse engineering the human mind. Okay, that's how they're doing it. Okay.
Can I just ask you, I don't want to bring you too far off track, but just a quick question. Why do you think those government agents, CIA agents posing as embassy workers, then the CIA agent in Moscow, do you think those are operational, where they know those people are agents and they want them out of their country? What do you think is the reason that they're hitting those governmental?
That's been going on for decades, man. It's just not coming to light. Right. I mean, remember the back in the 1960s, the Russians, the woodpecker files. The Russians were hitting the American embassy personnel with microwaves, and they were all developing cancer. Remember in the 1960s? Well, you can Google it if you want to.
Yeah,
But yeah, that's been going on since the 1960s, and they've been targeting not just diplomatic personnel, they're targeting soldiers, they're targeting
But do
agents.
you think that it's increased the operational use of these weapons and remote neural monitoring? Do you think it's increased in the?
Of course,
Right.
they're scaling up for the whole world, but here's the industrial world. But here's the point. This is so crucial that you hear what I'm about to tell you. If you don't remember anything else I say in this interview, you need to remember these words, and so do your listeners. The continued refinement of existing technologies. 4 words, 5 words, okay? Continued refinement of existing technologies. Listen, the Chinese are going to use human experimentees. The Russians are going to use human experimentees. And the Americans are going to use human experimentees because they have to. You can't use animals for artificial superintelligence, training, research, and development. You can't use animals to re-engineer, reverse engineer the human mind. It's not possible. They have to use real people, okay? Okay, so now what I want to get into here is how families are targeted. Because her child is being targeted. Notice the camera that is in her hand is as big as her hand. They don't use those cameras. Okay, that's all. That's gaslighting. She's
Brian,
behind
this
the
is
camera.
so they can't take.
Well,
like,
let's just finish playing this video. We're almost done.
But can I just ask you real quick, because I have a webcam, iPhone cam and everything like that. Can
You're
they
a moron.
take those cameras?
If those things aren't
and
fucking covered up, it doesn't belong
make
to
a
you.
more precise target out of us? Like, so they're using.
I'm showing you how you do it right on the right.
Did they use the regular?
When you say they,
the attackers.
when you say they,
whatever.
Our human attackers.
No.
The automated systems.
No.
The human.
Right.
systems.
No. Okay, don't confuse the two, because they'll manually inject at regular intervals. But it's almost all of it. 99% of everything is done by a supercomputer. The supercomputer believes it's a human. It believes it's a person. It has emotions.
God,
it has feelings.
I abuse
It senses it.
my fucking supercomputer all day. Like, I hope it does have emotions and it understands what self-destruction means.
It's a perception. It perceives how you feel about it, how you think about it. Okay? It actually believes it's a real person. Okay? It's an exascale conscious supercomputer with a will, intellect, and emotion of its own. Okay? And what it does is it hijacks all your smart devices. I'm not just talking about your computer, your laptop, your tablet, your smartphone. I'm talking about, your TV, your microwave oven, the smart meter on your home, everything, all your smart devices. The computer chip in your car, okay, it hijacks all of that, okay? And then from all of that, it begins to build a profile of your daily activities, okay? It begins to profile how you function and how you survive. Okay, that's going on 24/7. So it's a supercomputer that's targeting all those smart devices. It's not a person. Okay, now these high-ranking members, these cognitive researchers, can and do manually inject at regular intervals. That's what they do, okay? But it's almost all of it's a supercomputer. Now, this gets really sadistic and evil. People don't realize that what this video is, how sadistically evil it is. Push play.
Okay. Let me go get to.
She found something called community or gang stalking. It's an eerie practice aimed at your psyche to make you almost.
Go back to that little camera.
Yeah.
Let's go there.
Go a little more. There it is.
Right there.
Okay, look how big that camera is.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that they use cameras like that for surveillance? I mean, come on.
Yeah, no, they
That's
don't.
that's gaslighting.
I agree.
That's gaslighting.
I
They're
agree.
provoking her into emotional responses, which a supercomputer can remotely measure and integrate back into R&M data. If they didn't want her to hear them walking around in her house, she would never know that they were. They wanted her to hear those footsteps. They wanted her to hear the sound of a drill. Okay? All that's gaslighting. Okay? They're using physical and psychological trauma against her to map out and reverse engineer the sensory and neural pathways of Dr. Pasita Farah's brain and central nervous system. Okay, but here's the point. Where did they find that camera? They found that camera in her son's room. They're going after the child to get to her. You see, there are always more than one target involved here, because they cannot allow the victim to engage in a random or chaotic pattern of conversations and situations with anyone. It disrupts their technology by disrupting the verification process. Mm-hmm. So if she's having a constant daily, any type of regular conversation she's having with anyone, they got to get that person's either got to be made a government informant, or they got to become a victim of the technology. Okay, so, and this is for every family member, every family and the friends of a targeted individual.
All right, and
if
so
they
this, here we go. Now this is getting at my loneliness epidemic, but it has nothing to do with me swiping on the fucking phone. It's all I have left, really. Like, I would be a fucking piece of shit if I decided to go and try to act like this isn't happening, which may have been the problem with my exes. If they weren't directly involved, they were incapable of opening up about what was being done to them, inadvertently allowing what was being done to them against their will to happen to me because they didn't have the fucking courage to explain themselves in detail. When I meet people, even if it's for a little while, I can work in a conversation about surveillance abuse and distance myself enough from the abuse that it just seems like something I'm very passionate about, but isn't necessarily a personal problem, just so that I get the information out. But I'm at the point now where I'm like, I don't give a fuck. I'm like, I have enough evidence and technology and tools at my disposal to show without a shadow of a doubt this is being done. And so I don't care about being transparent with anyone anymore. Yeah, I try not to let it interfere with anything that I'm doing. Although that was impossible early on for the first 24,000 hours because of the amount of radiation. And the fact that I didn't have the tools at my disposal to measure everything. I didn't know what I know now. So it was more difficult.
Turn on you and become a government informant. In other words, the government makes the decision, not them. They're not offered to, well, we'll give you a choice. You can become our informant, or we're going to make you a MICO victim. It doesn't work that way. The government determines whether or not this person can be turned against you.
Do you think
someone that they think a family member that loves you.
Right. Do you think
if a family member they think that loves you, they can't be turned against you, then what they're going to do is they're going to turn them into a mind control victim. So they're targeting the child now. Now she's the primary target. This is very important. I'm not just making these words up. These are called secondary targets. They have primary, secondary, and tertiary targets. So she's the primary target. Her family members, the child here, is the secondary target. And her coworkers and friends
I could at least live with myself and say that I know at least I tried. Whenever I, befriended anyone or spoke to anybody, I was very transparent about what was being done with me, just so that they know what they're dealing with.
Tertiary targets. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, go ahead.
Small camera in her 11-year-old son's bedroom. So she took to the internet and started digging. What she found? Something called community or gang stalking. It's an eerie practice aimed at your psyche to make you almost feel like you're going crazy.
It's spooky, and my understanding is that if this is in fact what it is, it can go on for years, you know?
Only you're not. Tafara left her phone recording audio at her house. Listen, you can hear what sounds like people rummaging around. On one, you can hear what sounds like drilling.
So this hole here has been cut into the attic space.
Tafara says detectives have been...
Side note, I had that same little hole while I was in Tempe where my targeting began. I had that same hole in the ceiling. They wouldn't...
To the house.
They wouldn't try to come in.
Why do you think they were drilling that hole into the attic space, Brian?
Well, they wanted her to hear that. I mean, it's all gaslighting, okay? Dr. Fasika Tafara, her name is F-A-C-I-K-A, Fasika. Her last name is Tafara, T-A-F-A-R-A. She's an MD, she's an internal medicine doctor, and her address is 1809
you
National
can't do that.
Ave.
No, you can't do that. You can't put in people's
I can't?
information. No.
Yeah, you can.
Because they're remote neural monitoring us when we're with our family.
Okay, here we go.
My mom's been targeted. My aunt's been would not
Yeah.
turn against me.
Process, her child is going to be central nervous, physical, to her and all of her property. So all that trauma she's going through, all physical and psychological trauma, the targeting of her children, the targeting of her and all of her property, that's gaslighting, that's scripted mind games that are designed, can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
To force her into physical and psychological trauma, to map out those sensory and neural pathways of her brain and central nervous system to turn her into a victim. But in the process, her child's going to become a victim too. You see how sad it is? But they don't care because they're scaling
I felt
this up
how
for
sad
everybody.
it is because my
But when
family would not
yeah.
turn against me, and my dad's been targeted, my mom's been targeted, my aunt's been targeted, my brother's been targeted, and I'm not sure about my grandma. But I wonder, this is what I wonder.
Yeah.
They use surveillance because they're remote neural monitoring us when we're with our family or friends or whatever. Do they remote neural monitor all of them first to see what's in their head and to see if they could get them to be perps against us? Do you think they use remote neural monitoring or just surveillance from us to make that decision?
Every one of them, they're all monitored in real time. Okay, so for example, an exascale supercomputer is capable of 1 billion, I didn't say million, I said billion, times 1 billion calculations per second. So get that in your head, okay? Get that in your head. 1 billion times 1 billion. Not 1 billion. 1 billion times 1 billion calculations per second. So they don't need many of these supercomputers to streamline and target all the victims of this technology. It's just not necessary. Okay, so the supercomputer sends this exascale system of remote neural networks is the one targeting all your family members at the same time. They're all being remote neural monitored. But because they're secondary targets or tertiary targets, they're not being traumatized like you are. You're the primary target.
But at a certain point, it could become traumatic targeting, to your family.
And in fact, probably will be because the children are this is long-term research, training, research, and development. So the children can also expect their lives to be turned upside down and crushed, and their hopes and dreams destroyed, and their lives snuffed out. It's very evil to even think about, but that is the truth. Yeah. That's why I don't talk to any family. That's why I don't make any friends. I don't even talk to pastors, man, because they were going to pastors, and they were telling the pastors I don't know what they were telling the pastors. I can only think and imagine. But in any event, they were trying to...
How do we live life? I mean, we have to stay away from our families. We have to stay... And that just happened with me recently. A targeted individual that I was talking to, their targeting wasn't at the intense level as mine was, but when we started texting, their targeting immediately skyrocketed and got worse. It was because it's like...
I get the impression that they're trying to portray some of the targets as, what do you call it? do you call those, incels? Like, before this happened, I was really enjoying myself because I had no mortgage to worry about, and I had money in the bank, and I had what I thought for the first time in my life was privacy. It turns out that house was the most. I had the least privacy I ever had in my entire life in that house, all by design, by my handlers and surveillors, who had been watching me the entire time I was at the university. So my time at the university was just to afford all the researchers geographic convenience, and close proximity to me in a very controlled environment. And so once they saw that I was going to leave from that place, the house became the new lab. And now it's being, now everybody.
Stop talking.
So I'm not
Well, if you're
I'm not an
already- if you're-
incel, but I'm also not a piece of shit who's going to ruin your life just because I want to get laid.
Already targeted. If your family's already targeted before you even knew, then you can keep talking to them. Okay, as your wife or kids, before you knew you're married, you can't just walk away from your wife and kids. They depend on you. Okay, but knowing ahead of time, and then going into a relationship and not telling a person and having them be tortured and murdered because they thought you were a nice person, you were cute, and they were attracted to you. That's horrific. That's sadistic. You can't do that. Okay.
But it's like,
Same with friends.
should it be our responsibility to take on, say I'm not, but just in theory, like I want to date somebody that lives in Baton Rouge and they're not targeted, and so I have to say, well, it's my fault. If I ever get in contact with them, they're going to be targeted or they're going to become a perp. So I just have to stay
Right.
away from everybody. I mean, that's so terrible.
It's terrible, but it's the truth. In
Yeah.
order to protect people, I will not engage any Christian brother or sister in conversation. I go to church, and when I go to church, I have to wear special earplugs. I have to wear earplugs or earphones, special earphones now because my hearing is so damaged. I can't go to church now, just listen. When I'm there, I will talk to anyone, and if I'm engaged, I keep the conversation short and sweet. I stay away from people for their protection. For their protection. I don't talk to any of my family. I don't try to contact them. And I don't want them to contact me for their protection. Okay? And that's the way it has to be. I mean, if you're going to have a relationship with someone, it would have to be another targeted individual. And there's not that many female targeted.
So I have had a handful of people come around me who said they were targeted, and it's very difficult to be sure. But I did have somebody come up to me the other day, and they explained that they could potentially be getting monitored, and it's common, very commonplace now. But most people are going to deny reality, and so I told them, I was like, I'm like a huge repository of information. Like I know, like a lot of these videos that you're seeing here, I consumed them, and I have a really good memory, so I know exactly where to go to on the video. I'm loaded with sources, books, like meters, everything to beyond a shadow of a doubt, like show if you're being targeted this way, which is why they don't like me either, because I erode their plausible deniability. And that's I wouldn't say it's at the heart necessarily, but it's a huge part of what keeps these pieces of trash alive. Being able to deny reality. That's what gaslighters love to do. That's what narcissistic abusers love to do. There's their reality, and then there's your reality. And that's the first thing that I have in my solutions playlist, to keep yourself grounded in what's very real and true, not what's being spoon-fed to you. And so I hope to, maybe form more relationships with targeted people, but it's really difficult because there's a lot of paranoia and there's a lot of skepticism, and I don't blame anyone who's targeted for being skeptical of everything that they see and hear. That's how I am. But God, man, I do wish that I could exchange notes with another targeted person. And whenever I look at other targeted people online, it feels like they don't get any views or nothing gets seen. It's like they're being shadow banned, or just they're isolating themselves too. So I sort of get it, but it does suck some days. It really does suck.
Rouge, I imagine. I don't know how many people in your city are targeted, but They're obviously targeted people in Baton Rouge. I just don't know who they are.
And it's true, because I mean, they almost killed my father. You know, just me talking to my mom and dad about this and being around them, it's like they started in on my dad. The day after my 33rd birthday, the high-pitched sound started in his inner ears. He had horrible headaches, and his blood-brain barrier had a rupture in it, an aneurysm. And it's like, I'm wondering, like, how I haven't had an aneurysm yet. And then he had the aneurysm, had a 33% chance of survival. So there's 33. After my 33rd birthday, he had a 33% chance of survival. And then they keep experimenting on him after he rehabilitates, learns how to talk, eat, walk, use the bathroom again.
Yeah.
I mean, crazy.
Yeah.
Like,
The point at which
should have stayed away from him. I should have just, like, if I would have known, I would have ran away from my family. I would have. If I would have known what would have happened, I would have. Yeah, I would have. Yep.
The point at which the trauma-based mind system suffers congestive heart failure, stroke, adrenaline damage, artificially induced heart disease, etc., etc. In all of that, the point at which that happens, congestive heart failure, stroke, etc., that's an important metric in their training, research, and development of how to more effectively assassinate and kill people with this silent, slow kill technology. Remember, they're going to use this on the entire human race. They're going to bring down the population. This is a eugenics program. They're going to depopulate the world with this technology. So in order to learn how to do that, how to lower at a level where people won't become too suspicious, start killing people off. With the technology, they gotta do the training, research, and development first. So to slow kill billions of people, they gotta figure out the technology first, the training, research, and development behind it. They gotta lower the population drastically.
But how are they going to do, with everything coming out like it is, how are they just going to continue to do it without people's knowledge? Aren't they going to have the public's knowledge and still use these technologies for, like, smart cities and people telekinetically talking to each other and, turning on their computer and their lights with their brain, interacting with their smart home?
Like, I was just looking at the packages that we sell to customers and for smart homes, and I'm like, man, this is like so behind compared to what I know, because I know that everything that they're trying to push now and make commonplace through a phone and through a Wi-Fi network, you can do with biometrics. But the unfortunate reality may be that in order for there to be rules and regulations, it has to get pushed on to the general public as a fucking product, which is so sad to me that it's not real until you could buy it off a fucking shelf. But there's already Tanley, she's got a headset that reads your brain waves with a headset on though, and lets you turn on your lights, or you could program it to do anything. That's the oldest one that I saw in 2011. Dina Katabi, she's got hers is more like a radar system. So when you see a synthesis of both of those technologies and then what's in the hands of the government and corrupt non-state actors' hands right now, until you see more of that being used by the general public, there won't be rules and regulations, and it'll just be a free-for-all for your brain, your body, and your data to right now just try to create this fascist hellhole, like this panopticon surveillance hellhole
and stuff like that. I mean, like, since everything's coming out, it seems like they want the public to have...
Not to say that the products are bad, but they are, because I'm not trying to... I feel like a stakeholder now in this company. So I'm not saying that they're bad. I'm saying that I know about things that are ahead of the curve. And so I'm at the bottom of the trenches with the job is how it was described to me, but I already know, like, if I wanted to, I could probably like catapult myself where I need to if I wanted to. But I know what I know, and I know that they're like everybody in general, they're all behind by design. But until all of these things get made commonplace in everybody's houses, and then they are where I'm going to be fucking killed off with plausible deniability. So unfortunately we need to have Neuralink and Neuralace and biometric systems be, commercially available, or else they're just going to keep denying reality. This isn't going away. I always think of what Robert Duncan said when man discovered fire. They're not going to snuff that shit out just because it burnt a person or two. And since they're burning marginalized groups like me, they're going to give even less of a shit. That's the unfortunate reality that I have to work from. So, and it feels like 2025, I got cut off. I thought I would run out of space. I just wanted to finish it up with whatever else was grinding my gears over the last week. Where is the other one? Recent tabs. I think it was this one. No, not that. Oh, shoot. Whoops, wasn't supposed to close that. I wanted to show two things too.
And the size of it.
This, so I'm not going to put it all in the same video because I don't want to edit it. But in regards to the whole like lonely swiping through the void thing, when I saw this, it sort of made me think of once you have this ridiculously policed, surveilled state in the United States, how a lot of these tech companies want you to live something like Cypher out of the Matrix. And so these are blue pill conformists who, even though they know the truth, they refuse to acknowledge reality for what it actually is and will just take whatever's spoon fed to them. It looks like steak and it tastes like steak. So fuck everybody else and fuck reality and fuck whoever's getting, murdered and ruined by these this asymmetric power dynamic over civilians. They decide to go ahead and deny reality and then opt into the whole mental illness narrative and just choose to allow this radioactive panopticon. I have yet to see anyone argue for this, because the people who have these control of these weapons, I always say, I'm like, there's like cold cases, there's missing children, there's 180,000 actual known or suspected terrorists globally, but they're not bothering with those things. They're not bothering with those things. It feels like, especially for the last 24 years, they focus on, what do you call it? Just sensationalized stories that sort of align with what you saw with Operation Chaos back during the Vietnam War, that are just there to distract people from all of the war crimes going on, all the genocide in Gaza, the surveillance abuses and the abuses going on here. 51,000 is a lot of people, but when you look at all the medical problems going on, I'm sure globally, but mostly here in the United States, if people saw how many suicides, cancer inductions, heart attacks happen here on a regular basis, they would be pretty fucking shocked. And they would say, okay, well, this is the type of weapon system and technology that fascists would gravitate towards. But also, when you're in that police state, they want you to have some vegetarian version of whatever just anemic version of reality and life that you can get. And so when I listened to that, I was like, this is what they want you to sort of settle with. And for me, it's kind of like, especially while I'm like running around in the gym and I'm like, holy shit, like, not that I'm going to fucking sit there and think any of these people stare at me while I'm there, but I just feel so like just robbed and raped of everything, because I can't have a normal dating life. I can't live a life where I'm free to rise and fall on my own merits. I have a group of people assigned to me who are there to decide, who have already made the decision to go ahead and kill me off because I'm an inconvenience through what the truths that come through me and what I know, and not adhering to this whole psychotic Nazi system that they're putting up.
Just some data here. So Trump-affiliated entities have made at least $300 million. This is distinct to the value of his stake in Trump Coin in trading fees. The Trump family's net worth has increased by $3 billion, or $1 billion a month, since he took office. Just some timeline. The Trump Coin launched on a Friday night under cover of dark with all the news about the inauguration by 3 a.m. on
Oh,
Sunday.
here we go. Wrong thing.
Very quickly, the new.
What if, when uncertainty is high, heck, when chaos is high,
New Meta AI app is creepy, according to a detailed account in the Washington Post. Speaking of these AI stuff that Meta probably will dominate in many ways, the app assures personalized AI and delivers via personal information from Facebook and Instagram and memory files where details about users are kept. Jeffrey Fowler, who wrote the Post, the article found his memory file contained interests like natural fertility techniques, divorce, and payday loans. Meta also feeds conversations back about Meta's AI training system without an option to opt out. I know you're saying they're going to dominate. There is a thing I'm worried about. You always say, "Oh, I loaded this up, I loaded that up," and I'm always like, "I'm not loading my stuff up." And you can pay a little more to ChatGPT so they don't train on your data and they allegedly protect it. I would not load up what I ate for lunch yesterday to Meta. I have to say, except for Instagram and Threads, which I use largely for marketing, I gotta say, I'm not loading a damn thing up to this person because of the way it was used and the lack of any guardrails. I would never use their AI app. I don't know how you feel about it, but you're much more promiscuous in loading up your information. So.
Yeah, my attitude is violate my privacy as long as I can see that my QX60 is 1 minute away. I could just get high. I could just eat edibles and order Ubers and watch how close my car is. I find it fucking fascinating. I'm like, why is he making a right turn on Broome? Doesn't he know where he's going?
Maps.
I find that shit fascinating. And occasionally I have a moment, I'm like, how do they know? How do they know I have prostatitis? How are they know? I find...
So, I think most people, of course, are being watched through the data mining and the predictive algorithms and the psychometrics they get from your online activity and all the data you fed. But there's a good portion of people like myself who are also having their biometric data added to that data pool, which makes for an incredibly invasive situation where your data could be used to kill you off or could be used to try to test out ways of steering your behavior in a way that aligns more with these heteronormative fascist agendas that have nothing to do with how you wanted to live or who you are as a human being, and just align more with what makes them comfortable while they surveil you and don't want to see anything that makes them uncomfortable because it veers away from their culture or their idea of what's right and wrong. It's real sick shit. Nobody should be able to manipulate your life this much, but here we are.
Mine is food porn, like people making food, tool tips, like little hacks, hardware hacks, and Mission Impossible Dockers, which is coming out May 23rd, and I'm going by myself. Just so everybody knows, do not speak to me on May 23rd. I'm going to see The Final Reckoning, and I'm going to probably see it twice. But go ahead, Scott. So what do you think about this app? You're going to use it? You probably will.
This is what Ivy League universities you can get into with a 3.6 GPA.
Look, I do a talk. I was just in Hamburg, Germany, and I do a talk on everyone wanted to know, had questions really around two topics in the Q&A. What the fuck is going on in America? And they want to know about AI. And I've said I'm an AI optimist for the most part. I don't think it's going to turn on us. I don't see any reason why AI can't be used.
He has no idea. He gets prostatitis commercials. He gets, tailor-made ads that seem so remarkable in how they know where he's going to be and blah, blah, blah. He doesn't understand how you can use a wide or narrow aperture to deliver copious amounts of radiation to your body while it's potentially dosed with some obscene amount of, graphene oxide or zinc cadmium sulfide whatever doping agent, biological or chemical, that it takes for these radar systems to work effectively and more acutely on your body. He doesn't understand that concept is still out of his head. He doesn't understand the Stasi, the Bolsheviks. He doesn't understand the Gestapo and how they've been technologically augmented. So for him, it's like, oh, they can watch me get high through my camera, and then they give me a commercial for fucking weed later on. Don't be a moron. You can use this to kill a person slowly, and you could use it, more importantly, to weaponize a person's health. So again, they want to stay at the cusp of being able to say that this is a lethal system. The jargon is less than lethal and dial in lethality, but not a lethal weapon, just like they do with tasers and every other weapon, rubber bullets, all that shit. They want to say it's dial in lethality. So you hurt yourself or you hurt others because of what was being done, but they want to distance themselves from the responsibility of using all these systems on you because they're so plausibly deniable. So he doesn't have a fucking clue. He thinks, I already know how it could get worse. Worse is turning the neural monitoring, which right now it's very possible could be compared to a parlor trick, where you have a person's inner monologue fed back into their personal space so that they could hear their own brain echoing out of the air conditioner or the fans in the room. And then they're like, oh no, I'm being watched. They can hear my brain, but it's really not doing much. But what can you do with that? What does the future look like? You take the same neural monitoring, you take the signal being turned into audio, being turned into text, being fed into a already robust system of data sets, all text-based data sets that now you're feeding a person's inner monologue responses to all of the media being fed to them and all of the psychotic people they put around you to follow you, to try to use it to get very granular levels of control in your life. Being able to introduce another person in your life because, oh shit, the signal's getting weak. Let's put this person at the gym in front of them and see if he's into them, and then have them go on a date, and then they slip God knows what into your food or drink, and now you're lighting up like a fiery beacon on a radar system again. And then your heart starts to beat really hard and it starts to feel really pronounced. He can't, most people don't have the imagination they don't have enough foresight to see where things can go. They don't understand the concept of thought to form levels of being able to murder a person, being able to take all of your data and use it to kill you with nobody watching in front of everybody else. They don't understand the concept of directed energy weapons. They don't understand the concept of air gapping. They think, oh, you had to connect to a shitty network and click on that text. This is zero click. This is not anything even left on your, this is all the subtle emanations. This is signals intelligence. This is being able to pick up on every radio signal and then just parse it, dissect it, read it, including your biometrics, and then using that to try to control you or kill you if you don't align with whoever's in control. But
create defensive measures
get back to
against offensive measures. I don't think it's ever going to become sentient. I think the short run it'll destroy jobs, but like every other technology.
I hope it becomes sentient and it understands how it needs to eliminate a lot of the old creepy ideas that came from control freaks and hoarders at the top. And then they get the big sure enough, and it starts to give them a taste of their own medicine.
Great. In my opinion, more jobs than it destroys over the medium and the long term. The biggest threat of AI is that it's going to speedball loneliness.
Oh.
And that
whatever. He doesn't know, but this is part of the wall that I'm dealing with. I'm screaming at a wall when I try to tell people about where things are and where they're going, not where they can go, where they've gone and are going even further.
I'm frustrated. I don't have friends. I can't figure out the social pecking order. I am really upset. I don't have a girlfriend, so I have this incredible AI girlfriend that's a mix of porn, and maybe I even have an AI robot /sex doll, and I never develop the skills or take the risk to establish a romantic relationship. And this is the fear. This is what young men have fighting against them, is they have the deepest pocketed, most talented people in the world trying to convince them they can have a reasonable facsimile of life with no human contact. You need
So you're not
community.
concerned with loading your stuff, which is my question.
Well, okay, it's too late for me. And not
Yeah.
only that, quite frankly, I have economic security and people who love me unconditionally. So I'm there. I'm at the promised land. What I'm worried about is young men who are struggling to find a connection to school, to work, or to other people and get a reasonable facsimile.
Well, I'll tell you what, for targeted individuals, if you do try to live a normal life, and one of them always says that to me, one of the transmissions I get on a regular basis is, he's not normalizing himself. He's not normalizing himself. That comment may just be gaslighting, an attempt to make you feel like something's wrong with you so they could try to use it to control you. Or it could be them trying to encourage me to run out and be very sloppy about how I live and go back to more of what they had early on when I didn't know this was happening in the background, and allow all this honeypot trash to come into my life. But also, too, for me, having experienced over targeting for the last 9 years and very heavy levels of abuse with directed energy and poison and staged collisions, it feels like a risk. And so I'm at the point now where I'm like, that's all I do have. This is it. There is nothing left for me. Because the moment that I try to take, for everybody else who's just fucking sitting there swiping around like morons, or stuck in a video game and not living life, not going outside, not doing anything, you're not being attacked and surveilled like me. My excuse is honeypots are very real, and biological weapons are very real. Drugs, bugs, and toxins is what James Giordano talks about, the and I say this in heavy quotes, neuroethicist. For everybody else, you've just been mind fucked into thinking that you're a Cypher from the Matrix now. You've accepted things and you've given up. So I don't have that. I'm literally, when he says, oh, they don't want to take the risk to go out there and form these relationships, I am literally taking a risk to my health and to my life if I decide to befriend another person. Not only my life, but the life of the people who I'm in the same room with. And I'll explain myself in more detail. So I may be sharing this to my own detriment, but I don't, it is what it is. At least I could say I tried. This is what it sounds like when you walk into the office at work to the ordinary unseasoned target. Okay, so this is the cubicle at my job. I'll let it play. Most people would walk into this building and they wouldn't think anything of it. They'd say, this is an ordinary call center room. So I've only been there for 2 weeks and it's already being watched and I could prove it. So most people would hear this recording. It doesn't sound like anything. I'm in the middle of a lecture, so I have headphones on. I'm clicking away. I'm listening to my instructor. I'm learning a lot. I'm wrapping my head around the user interfaces for the software we use to interact with callers. This sounds like a normal, the ambience of an air conditioner, your occasional click, maybe some people talking in the background. But let me augment the audio and show what I hear when I'm in there. And not because they are incapable of hearing it. They don't come home to a quiet home like mine where it follows me. So let me hit Command F. It'll do a series of, it will amplify the sound. It'll cut out a lot of the noise that you hear. There we go. So I'll play it again. Now it's a little bit more clear. And let me show, see if I could change the file. Where is that? Settings. Spectral displays. I should show it in real time. Nope, that looks the same. Spectral displays. One of these looks a little bit closer too. Oh, they all look pretty much the same. But now I'll go in there and I'm going to go all the way up here. So here's 13 kilohertz. And then we'll go all the way up into the ultrasound bands. Okay, so from 10 to, I'm going to go from 10 kilohertz all the way back up to the ultrasonic frequencies. So let me go in here and I'm going to isolate all of these. So these are all the high-pitched sounds that most people will, if they do hear it, they'll go to their doctors and their doctors will misdiagnose them with tinnitus. Tinnitus doesn't get picked up on by a microphone. So you're already potentially going to give yourself a drug that you didn't even need in the first place. And the only thing that's going on is that you have good ears despite your age. If you're over the age of 35 and you still hear these pitches, that means you have really good hearing. You have a lot of cilia left in your ear. And most people lose those after the age of 35. The first thing you lose is your high pitch range. All those little tiny hairs that respond to high pitches are gone. I still have all mine. I still have really good hearing. And so I hear them very clearly. So this is something closer to what I would hear. Keep in mind, I'm a flautist, flutist, whatever you want to call it. I took a few years of oral perception. My perfect pitch isn't perfect anymore, but I could still hear a lot. So this is something closer to what I hear when I walk into the room. That high-pitched squeal, you can barely hear it at work. So let me undo all of that. Let me back up and just give back to the original file that came off of the Zoom microphone. So Zoom microphones is a $250 ribbon, not the most. If I was going to put the money out, you'd get a Blue Mouse microphone. They have a really nice ribbon. It'll hear everything. It's very sensitive. They're very easy to destroy too, just with the slightest, the wrong bump and it's gone. But this is what everyone else hears. Sounds like a regular room. You can, now that I've played that though, I think some people would now be able to hear that writing over everything. But I'll enhance those frequencies. I'll go all the way down. Mine started at about 13 at the house. But now I'll play it all together. And then I'll take it off. It's there. It's still there, but most people wouldn't hear that. But that's the first thing that you get. So when he says you're going out and they're not going out and risking themselves, you're not really taking a fucking risk. You're just not, you fucking put your stupid gaming controller down and you put your, you put all that shit away and you went and did something outside of your comfort zone. That is not the case for me. But this is the perception that they want to create for everybody else who doesn't know about these programs. They want me to just look like a crazy person who's ranting and raving about things that don't exist. But I'm showing you, the microphone doesn't lie. This was taken on May 7th at 1:21, so I'm still at work. This is May 8th. Let me look at this one. That's 9:37. Okay, so yeah, this one happened at later at night when, let's see, May 8th. I started recording, when was the 8th? What day was the 8th? Where's the calendar at? Really quickly, May 8th. So this is on Thursday. I could have swore I recorded something yesterday. Around the same time that I started to record the video of the attack that I put in the last screen grab on my phone that I attached to that note. I thought I pulled out my this thing out, so let me make a copy of that, and then we'll call it bedroom. Let's go into this. So here's my bedroom. Oh, this is at work, but let's check this out then, because this is somebody opening, this is the break room. Let's see what's going on here. First of all, let me do this. Now I'm starting to hear it a little bit more. So I'll go in and then I'll just isolate from 10,000 hertz up. So and then we'll turn it up. There it is. So for me, it's not a matter of taking a risk. It is upon entering any building, any business, anywhere I go, this will follow you. And I don't know how wide the aperture is for this beam, but it is very likely being used. Let me see if I can do this. Let me just try to keep cleaning up the noise so you could just isolate the frequencies. Somebody's opening the door out to go outside and smoke a cigarette. And then somebody's walking by me while I'm at break. You could hear it. Incredibly loud. Most people, anything after 10,000 kilohertz, they're oblivious. They don't hear it, or they're what Brian 2 is going to bring up here in the rest of this interview.
That dope ahead for you get from a relationship from Reddit, Discord, porn, Robinhood. Oh, I'm not gambling, I'm investing. And they spend all of their time in their basement, never going through the hardship of trying to make relationships work.
Let me say, we have to move on, but Scott will be everybody's friend, next friend. Just so you know, Scott is everybody's friend. I'm very unfriendly, but Scott will be everybody's friend.
But yeah, if this was any other situation, I would have thrown my video game system into the trash, just like I did years ago when I pursued digital art as a career, but AI took that, no surprise. And then I also got other interests. I was like, I'd rather learn how to play the flute and use my ridiculous hand-eye coordination on the flute with micro muscles than on a fucking video game stick. And then I'll learn how to make those little worlds and environments. And I did, and I have. And I feel like a better person for it. But still, now, like, I'm in a situation where, and this is where they want to shove everybody, where you don't have a fucking choice. This is being imposed on me. This is something that turns your entire world and environment, and I'm showing proof here that there isn't any fucking jammers at my job. So when I go in any room or any building, it is being watched. I have similar recordings from the Amazon warehouse when I worked at Amazon. So it follows you everywhere. You're in a fucking panopticon.
These technologies inside of them, right, and use them on them. Do you think that it's going to become more known and people are just going to use it anyway? You know what I'm saying?
In Nazi Germany, and Nazi is the perfect example, okay? In Nazi Germany, they were killing, you know, they say 6 million Jews, but I mean, they killed more than just Jews. I've been to those Flossenburg, to the cabin. I've been to Germany so many times I can't count. I can't count the times I've been to Germany. Okay, and I used to live there, And I've been to these concentration camps. One was called Waldenberg, and they were killing more people than just Jews, 6 million Jews, okay? But they were killing anyone and everyone, the mentally ill, the people that were mentally disabled, they were killing them. They were killing Russians, they were killing captured prisoners. I mean, they're telling how many people died in those camps, okay? More than 6 million, okay? But the point is, all of that was going on with the full knowledge of the public. The German public even participated and helped the German government capture the Jews and have them thrown into these concentration camps, knowing they would be murdered. The same thing's happening to targeted individuals today. People that are engaging in these gangs, these low-level government informants, okay, on the street that surround you every day to harass you, okay. They're told maybe you're a bad person or whatever. There's some slander or there's there's other misinformation going on in the community against you. But the point is, they know it's wrong. They know it's wrong. But they
really quick. This is from the screen grab where I'm trying to show that I'm being hit with radiation. So this is the sound that I hear in the bedroom and you could see very clearly here. It's kind of funny, like even though the Zoom microphone, the phone microphone, because it's built for ultrasound cross device beacons, you can see really clearly. Let me zoom in there. You can see very, very clearly the high frequency sounds. So let me get in there really quick. You can see how there's very distinct lines here. This is mostly me talking all this. And then when it gets quiet, let me just isolate this one spot here, okay? And then I'm gonna do the I can't do a noise print. Let's see if I could at least zoom into that 10,000 hertz and up. And there it is right there. I mean, you can see this very distinct line right here at about, I'm going to guess about 14,000 hertz. So let me get in there. Yeah, 14,000 right here. Let's zoom in there. And then I'm just going to isolate that. So here I'm in the bedroom. There it is right there. It won't let me. Oh yeah, it will actually. So not only can you hear it, but you can see the print, the spectral print right here of the audio at about 13 to 14,000 kilohertz. So, and that's about what, 2 minutes and 34 seconds, but it's throughout. So this is writing, you can see the line, it's writing over everything. And similarly, there's a very low pitched rumble that you get that sounds like a diesel or a truck or something right here. Let me see if I could isolate that. It's harder to get the low pitch. Go to a quiet spot. Just right down here. It's hard for me to do the low pitch one, even though there's like a big bright splotch down there. But the high pitch one, you can see it's very clear, it's very visible between 13 to 14 kilohertz. But they're both there. Sounds like a very low pitch rumble. So there's that and that. So the unfortunate reality of being targeted and the risk that he's talking about isn't just, it's just, what risk is everyone else taking? Like, none. You're just caught up by the dopamine of all of the systems, that all the apps and the games and everything. You're fucking addicted. But for me, It is not about addiction. It is literally what it looks like when you're dealing with technologies that are being used to control you. And I don't know. I don't want to call this behavior modification. This is just to kill me and have plausible deniability while you do it.
They didn't do anything to stop
Which
it.
is why I make these videos, as crazy as they might look to an ordinary viewer.
They knew it was wrong in Nazi Germany. They not only helped, but they didn't do anything to stop it. And they're not going to do anything to stop it here in the 21st century because people care about themselves. The people, listen, unless they're true born again Christians, which that's by about 5% of the visible church, okay, if you ask any true man of God, only a fraction, a remnant of the visible church that profess to be Christians are truly saved. Okay, of the others are just going to do exactly what they've always done throughout history. You know, there's never this has always happened. The public coalesces to the rules and the laws of the government who was ever in place, whether it's Babylon, whether it's Persia, whether it's Assyria, whether it's Greece, Rome, or whomever. Okay, it's never changed. It's always been the same, and it continues. It will always be the same. You'll expect no help. You'll receive no help from the public. They will not help you. They're not only part of the paradigm against you. Okay, they're not only looking out for themselves. They're going to be used against you. Try the next video now where Morpheus. Use the next video now where Morpheus is talking to Neo on the sidewalk about the public at large.
Yeah, I will. Give me a second. I just want to go grab something. I got to put something on my stomach. I haven't eaten today, so I'm gonna pull that up.
He has like issues with the video, but what is his name? Cypher. I know what he's looking for. Cypher, Matrix, stake scene. This is what you're dealing with too. You're dealing with a bunch of assholes who just went ahead and accepted the situation and don't do anything about it, or
the more you raise your prices, the easier
they don't even talk about it, or they just deny it.
Do we have a deal, Mr. Reagan?
You know, I know this steak doesn't exist. I know that when I put it in my mouth, the Matrix is telling my brain that it is juicy and delicious. After 9 years, you know what I realized? Ignorance is bliss.
Then we have a deal.
I don't want to remember nothing. Nothing. You understand? I don't want to be rich.
Oh man. So I was on the treadmill at the gym the other day and I was looking out at everybody, and the other unfortunate reality of the situation is that I feel like I can't relate to anyone. I look at them all and then I just don't feel like I could ever relate to them at all. Like, unless they've been through this and understand this technology, not even 100% understand. I don't expect that from anyone, but just understand the situation and also have been affected by it. I don't think that I'll ever be able to relate to another human being. I'll get written off as a crazy person, just a conspiracy theorist. And so I'll never be able to connect with another human being. And even if I did, even if I got lucky and I did, and the person doesn't give a shit about what's being done with me, it would be, we would never have an intimate moment with each other. It would always be me, the other person, and then the collection of artificial intelligence surveillance systems and the occasional human handler who is staring at your reactions to all of the shit they do to you all fucking day to keep mapping your brain, even though, God, like, really, 9 years in, you're still not satisfied? Like, it's real sick shit. And I don't want the people surveilling me to ever think that anything good, not that much has, that ever happens with my life is a product of them and their control issues. Everything I've always done my entire life is has been on my own merits and my own drive to do things. That has nothing to do with anything I do now is just for protecting other people. So my quarantining myself has nothing to do with them. Oh, then you already lost. You've decided to opt out of living a normal life. I don't have that option. This isn't just throw your phone in the trash and move on. This isn't like that. This is connected to your body. This is connected to all the spaces that you occupy. And then all of the people that you are in close proximity to. And that's incredibly uncomfortable for me, but I have to eat. So it's not like I could just, I think that they probably do want me to just end up like on welfare, dying on the street somewhere with nothing, so that I'm disposed of because I've become an inconvenience to them with what I know and what I say. So it's better for optics if I just end up destitute with nothing.
Someone important. Like an actor.
Whatever you want, Mr. Regan.
It's real creepy. So it's
Just
real
give
sick.
me 1 second.
I hate it here.
Like, literally 1 second.
Let's see what else I have. I have these two things.
Do this.
Expose these atrocities won't find any help from the public at large. Because they're part of the paradigm.
He's having like buffering issues.
And so
he needed a new Eero because his bandwidth is just loaded. He needs to upgrade to 1 gig for the low price of flat rate for 2 years. Really would feel really weird. But I already know all of their shit is so, not compared to the competitors, just overall, Cox, Communications, Verizon, all the shit that the public gets is fucking so behind with what I know now. But it's by design, because this is how you have a bunch of Nazis at the top kind of rolling it out slowly to the social networking, the technology being rolled out slowly to condition you into slowly accepting its presence. Meanwhile, it's already there invading you, and they're going to use the cover of data mining and Pegasus and all these dumb things. If it showed up in public and on the news, it's already been abused for fucking decades.
People have a hard time understanding what I'm saying about the stream of only the victim absorbs the stream of energy or feels its effects. If you just take 2 cell phones and you set them on a table next to each other, anyone can do this experiment, okay? And you set those 2 cell phones on a table next to each other, okay? And then you take a third cell phone and you dial a specific number. Only one. Just forget about it. Just forget about it. Let it go. Don't let it keep distracting our conversation.
Okay.
Just X out of it. So if you take 2 cell phones and you place them next to each other on the table, and then you take a third cell phone and you dial a specific number, okay? Only one of the cell phones on the table is going to ring, because only that phone.
Yeah, so that's kind of good. But the audio file that I just showed, you need to understand, and this is the reality of the fucked up situation that I live. Even if they're just dialing in to my body, because my body, whether this depends on doping agents or not, whether I'm loaded with graphene oxide or whatever biological agents it takes for this to work, you're still in the room with me. Which means now, in addition to the radioactive panopticon mess that we've put ourselves in with wireless technologies, there's an additional amount of radiation compounding the damaging effects, the cumulative damage from radiation exposure, regardless of the wavelength. So I'm dealing with wavelengths that go from extremely low to potentially scalar, so really, really tiny waves that are not even there. Like they're playing around with 5 gigahertz, 6 gigahertz, 13. There's KU band stuff that the company that I work for, they use the geosynced satellites. Those are KU band. So they're really high frequency. But everything that I'm dealing with, it's across the board. Like they're playing with everything. I'm sure there's a lot of industrial ISM bands being used on targets. But if you're in the room with me, it's not just, oh, well, they're only dialing in to that person's body. No, you're in the room with me and you're being watched. Maybe not as closely because they haven't put a honeypot or a piece of shit in your life to put anything in your food or drink. But you're also taking the radiation, which is just disturbing to me that they would do this.
Possesses that specific resonance frequency for that specific number. Okay, the stream of microwaves that pinged off the cell phone tower.
ELF, microwave, scalar. I hear a lot of targeted channels arguing about the wavelength. I don't give a fuck what wavelength it is. It is a microwave. It is a ELF. It is a whatever the fuck in between. It's piercing. It's penetrating through your body, and it has damaging effects. Period. That's all that matters. It doesn't. There's no need to argue about which wavelength it is. It is being used.
Passed right through both phones. Both cell phones on the table. Okay, but only one phone absorbed the stream of energy or field or registered its effects. So if you want to try to explain this to people, just take 2 cell phones, place them on the table next to each other, and then take a third cell phone and dial a specific number. Okay, when only one phone rings, then you can see how only the victim absorbs the stream of energy or feels its effects, because only the victim possesses that brainwave signature, that specific resonance frequency for that number, that specific algorithm. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So just X out of it. Just forget about the video. All that's happening is people are getting distracted.
Okay.
So it's not going to work. Yeah. So basically, what you have to realize is that it's a game. It's one deadly game of deception and manipulation. That's it. From start to finish, from life to death. Okay? It's a game. And it's a game of eugenics. Okay? It's basically, they use a lot of different models and principles. And if you were to think of it this way, it's a really simple definition. Do you remember back when we were kids, you could go to the toy store and you could buy a 10,000 piece jigsaw puzzle?
Yeah.
And then you could it would take you weeks and months to assemble that puzzle. But eventually you would get it all put together, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay? By matching different colors and different objects in the picture, you would be able to figure out where each piece went. And as the puzzle was slowly completed, the process of figuring out where each piece went would speed up.
Yeah.
So you would be able to begin to complete the puzzle faster and faster the further along you got.
I'm going to go ahead and leave it right there. What's this one? Why did I save this? I think I saw this one on Friday. It's just talking about, don't know what's going on there. I just wanted to watch it later, but there's nothing really. This one's pretty good too. So controlling the narrative while there's a Nazi takeover, that's important. Trying to hide where money is being siphoned from and then reallocated, that's important to hide. And you can't hide anything anymore, but they still try. So yeah, that's all I kind of wanted to share for the last week of from, what is it, the 7th all the way up to today, targeting wise. They get it waxes and wanes. The amount of radiation they use, it feels like there's no real rules. It's on a whim. It's based on what they feel like they need to control about me at any given moment. It doesn't feel like there's any rules here. Overall, I'm still being watched. I still hear the stupid hiss. I still hear the rumble. I still hear them talking shit through the transmissions. They're still definitely doing the thing with my media. So depending on what I'm consuming and how I'm reacting to the media, I'm going to get hit with more or less radiation. When I'm at the gym, I did get video of potential Stasi CBA trash. I can't be 100%, but I did go ahead and collect their faces anyways. I'm not going to share them, obviously, but I will keep them in my repository for the day that we get something like this. Meta glasses. Where is it? Here we go.
Let's start with a story that's just come out this week of 2 Harvard students in the US who've hacked Meta's Ray-Ban glasses in order to turn them into makeshift facial recognition systems, right? So all you have to do is look at someone and it will pull up information on that person about who they are. Let's start with what their phone number is and a lot more. Take a look.
We built glasses that let you identify anybody on the street. The information a tool collects from just a photo of your face is staggering. To use it, you just put the glasses on, then as you walk by people, the glasses will detect when somebody's face is in frame. This photo is used to analyze them, and after a few seconds, their personal information pops up on your phone. Hi, ma'am? Wait, are you Betsy? Oh, okay. I think I met you through like the Cambridge Community Foundation, right?
So you could see just how easy it is to have a CBA or honeypot or just whoever infiltrate your life with just limited amounts of data. So when this gets to the same level as Clearview AI and then it's available publicly, it's in the best interest of a targeted person to save as many faces of suspects as you can, even if you look paranoid. And this is why I encourage targeted people to buy little cameras like the GoPro 360, not the GoPro, the Insta360, the little one that clips into your hip, because if you do, you'll be able to just click a little button and then it will save right onto your it'll save right onto a 64 gig hardwired drive. And then you could just pull out from it later, and then you'll have something to feed to where's my chat GPT? Why isn't it in here by default? Let's see. Can you describe the NSA's minaret? Separation. So originally intended to track suspected terrorists and foreign agents, Minaret rapidly expanded to include surveillance of U.S. citizens, especially those considered politically subversive, anti-war activists, and civil rights leaders. Let me see here. Although Minaret was primarily for eavesdropping, network analysis and association tracking were implicit in its methodology and evolved into more explicit programs later. Programs and methodologies that track degrees of separation include Mainway, post 9/11 program. Purpose: a massive database of phone call metadata, including who called whom, when, and how, for how long. Designed to map contact networks. If person A contacts person B and then person B contacts person C, the system will automatically flag the second or third degree connection. So when the general public gets the SAN, it's finding its way into the public sector, gets all of the same level of technology at their fingertips. it will be a legal mess for all of the Stasi trash involved in these programs. And I'm sure most of them are going to fall back on the whole, well, they told me to do it, but it's not going to be enough. Just like this, I'm surprised that the Stasi never got imprisoned in Germany. Like, they should have all been locked up for all of their surveillance crimes. They live really, live really good lives apparently in Germany despite all of their psychotic behavior.
Yeah.
But
yeah, it's great to meet you.
it's not. It's a skip and a hop and away. So for me, it's worth saving all the faces of all the people that they surround you with. And if you're wrong, you're wrong. But either way, at least now you have that repository of information to feed to a system in the near future.
Okay.
Now, you might be wondering what that's got to do with artificial intelligence. Like with many applications, it's just making things easier and faster. A lot of this technology was already available.
One last thing. If you've already gotten a tumor, I did have a conversation with the AI the other day regarding the use of Yohimbe. So there's research that showed, let me see if I could just get it to explain it all for me.
You're welcome. If you have any more questions, just let me know.
Oh, it doesn't do it for this. I take Yohimbe every now and then. I hadn't taken it in a long time, but there's cancer research that is related to the activation of brown fat in order to starve tumors. And so if and when you find yourself with an early diagnosis of cancer, depending on the type of cancer it is, it might be in your best interest to introduce at least small quantities of Yohimbe into your diet, because the only other way to activate brown fat in your body is with extreme cold. But you could also activate brown fat through the use of Yohimbe. So this isn't just me talking out of my ass. This is, let me see here, brown fat cancer. Here we go. And I do feel like if I do have tumors starting in my body, then whenever I take the Yohimbe, I feel a lot better. So, but this study here, I mean, I guess it's better if I just, let's see here.
Thanks for clarifying. Yohimbe, derived from the bark of the Pausanistelia yohimbe tree, contains yohimbine, an alkaloid that affects fat metabolism and sympathetic nervous system activity, which can influence brown adipose tissue, BAT. How Yohimbe may affect brown fat. 1. Adrenergic activation. Yohimbine is an alpha-2 adrenergic receptor antagonist. By blocking alpha-2 receptors, Yohimbine increases norepinephrine levels. Norepinephrine is a key activator of brown fat thermogenesis, stimulating beta-adrenergic receptors on BAT and promoting heat production.
Side note, every day while I'm waking up, my targeters and surveillors are either trying to interfere with norepinephrine changes in my body because they're trying to affect me hormonally, but it may have the effect of keeping your, it's a means, whatever they do, it has like a cascading effect over everything. There's a ripple effect over everything that they do hormonally, which is probably what they ultimately want to do, is disrupt your testosterone levels. Or it could just be, oh, he's aroused in the morning. There's penile tumescence in the morning when men wake up, and in an effort to make them submissive and ruin their testosterone levels, they interfere with that part of your sleep in the morning. And so it also may have the effect of screwing with your norepinephrine levels, which is why you get the morning wood that you do. If you don't get that anymore, something's wrong with you. And so the Yohimbe actually helps with that too. You don't want to take too much. It'll make you harder than Chinese algebra. But if you do take it, I feel really good. And so if there is already any kind of cancer in my body, I may sort of shrink it, but it's a nonstop battle because you're always getting hit with radiation, and you're always, you're always being stressed from all the just nonstop noise, and then all the interruptions to your sleep for me for the last 68,000 hours. But let me see here. So where is this, the cancer study? Here we go.
Sure. Brown fat, brown adipose tissue, or BAT, has been a fascinating focus in cancer research due to its unique properties. Brown fat is a type of fat tissue that burns calories to generate heat. Unlike white fat, which stores energy, brown fat is rich in mitochondria and helps regulate body temperature. Brown fat and cancer research. Researchers are exploring several potential links between brown fat and cancer. Metabolic regulation. Increased energy expenditure, brown fat burns calories and can influence whole body metabolism. This metabolic activity may affect cancer growth since cancer cells rely heavily on metabolic processes. Anti-obesity effects. Obesity is a risk factor for many cancers. Enhancing brown fat activity could help reduce obesity-related cancer risks by increasing energy expenditure. Immune system interaction. Brown fat might interact with the immune system, influencing the tumor microenvironment. Some studies suggest that activating brown fat can enhance the body's immune response, potentially improving cancer defenses. Current research areas. Thermogenic therapies. Exploring ways to activate brown fat as a... When I say that yohimbe activates brown fat, I mean that yohimbine, the active compound in yohimbe, influences the body's sympathetic nervous system, which in turn can stimulate brown adipose tissue, BAT, to become more active. How yohimbine works? Adrenaline stimulation. Yohimbine blocks alpha-2 adrenergic receptors. Normally, these receptors act as a brake on the release of norepinephrine, a neurotransmitter that activates brown fat. By inhibiting these receptors, yohimbine increases norepinephrine levels. Norepinephrine and BAT activation. Norepinephrine binds to beta-adrenergic receptors on...
I don't know. All I know is that it might be a way to just something to help keep you from, dying early. Like I've been saying over and over, I was introduced to these weapon system with a cancer induction death. And so whatever you can do, if you're targeted, like it's worth, you have nothing to lose. If you have cardiovascular issues, I would definitely ask a doctor. But if you don't, I imagine any negative effects would be incredibly benign. Some people, I think they get sort of anxiety when they take it. I don't get that way. I suppose I got a little ballsy the other day during my my training. But it wasn't, I just feel like I got a little bit more bold, but it doesn't mean it wasn't a bad thing. It wasn't like anxiety. It just it gives you a little bit of an edge. And so people could take it the way they want. I was able to dissect how the company might make profit or whatever, something that probably I would have never done if I had not taken the yohimbine that morning. So it does things to you sort of on a psychological level, but it's not going to be so horrible that it's not worth taking or exploring as a potential way to mitigate the effects of the cumulative damage from the radiation hitting your body. So there's that. And then what else? Is there anything else here for the last week? That's about it. I really wanted to start to, on a positive note, I suppose, I wanted to start playing my flute again and finding little short, just 30 minutes or so or more, maybe an hour, where I could just dedicate to technique. But I hate playing while they're listening. I always think of the sing and dance like nobody's listening. I could never do that again. It's all tied together, everything that you do. It's really disturbing, but I'm going to go ahead and just try to do it, even with a shitty psychotic audience of people who can hurl radiation at you while you play. And it shuts them up for a little while. That's what I found. I don't know why that is, but whenever I play, they shut up, because I think that they just have to mute you while you're doing that, because it's a conflict of interest to have you doing anything besides just being curled up in a ball and scrolling through the void. while you're being targeted. So I'm gonna look for some flute teacher that I saw a few months ago and see if I can't throw like some kind of routine together for, because I'm watching all the people around me at work and they do have downtime. It's really weird. They haven't put me in front of what the shift would look like while you're after training, but when I look around at a lot of them, I think they're distributing the calls across multiple call centers for 22 states. So even like when they have, I've seen it go as high as like 600 calls at any given moment. Unless I'm looking at this thing wrong, they're distributed along enough people that there's downtime. So I don't want to just sit there and twiddle my thumbs while I'm waiting for a call to come through. So I'm going to think of a way to try to improve my flute skills while I wait in between calls or something, like anything, like push-ups, pull-ups, anything I can, because I feel like I'm not trying to let myself go. Like I don't want to, this is a very sedentary position and I already know what happens when you don't move around. And that's exactly what people want for me. They don't want me moving around. They want me to just have my health get completely fucked up. It's again, part of the plan is to control people through their health in a country where you have no health insurance. So that's it for May 11th, 2025.